I love you, Rosie.
But here we are again.
It's exciting.
But welcome to the podcast again, to the Calibrated cast. Hopefully no one again is taking it currently. I hope not, because I checked through Spotify and I'm like, okay, we should be good, you know. But hopefully it's not taken. But of course, you guys know us. I'm Matt. This is Ani. But of course, now we have our new guest. It's John. How are you doing, John?
Pretty good. How about you guys?
I'm doing good.
Doing good. I have a little bit of energy now, finally.
All right.
But we're just right now, since John is here and he's new here, we're just gonna introduce himself and talk about a little bit about his journey as far as powerlifting goes. Maybe a little bit about school too, and we'll go from here. But as far as it goes, John, welcome on.
Thank you. Thank you.
First, we want to talk about, like, what we talked about was mostly our origin story as far as, like, fitness in general, like, how did we start? But we'll start off with that. How did you start with your fitness journey?
Oh man, this is crazy.
And you can date back to whenever.
I didn't start working out. Well, it was on and off. Maybe like late middle school, early high school.
Mm-hmm.
It was just on and off. My mom. Well, first of all, you know, growing up as a kid, you know, just playing video games all day, you know, whatever. So, you know, started gaining a lot of weight. My mom realized, she was like, "Hey, like, come to the gym with me." I was like, "What's a gym?" You know, I was like, "Okay, why not?" So it started off there, on and off. But I didn't start taking it serious until senior year of high school. Mm-hmm. So it was like around late 2015, early 2016. That's when I started taking it serious. And then maybe 2 years after that, I had a friend back at home who opened up a gym. Mm-hmm. It was mainly towards like powerlifting and strongman stuff. Mm-hmm. So I went to go check it out because obviously it's a friend, so I'm gonna go help a friend's business out. Mm-hmm. And go check it out and all that. I mean, dude, like it was pretty much like Metro but smaller. Mm-hmm. So it had like rusty equipment and all that.
Oh yeah,
all that snaz. and then yeah. So I'm trying to think. When did I get into powerlifting? It was right after that because I didn't know what powerlifting was. Mm-hmm. I just, you know, I lifted weights seriously after 2016. You know, started taking it serious, but that was just, you know, to maintain a healthy lifestyle, wellness, and all that. So I want to say maybe around 2018, 2019 when I got to Texas State. Actually, it was like my first time taking powerlifting serious. Mm-hmm. Someone walked up to me at the gym, was like, "Hey, like, you want to join the powerlifting team?" I was like, "There's a powerlifting team here?" Like, I was like, "What?" And they're like, "Sure, yeah. Like, I'll go check it out. Like, when was the meeting?" And so they told me, "Yeah, the meeting's at." I think it was like on a Wednesday. Mm-hmm. It was like on a Wednesday. Okay, just come to the meeting. You know, you're not on the team. You're not trying out. It's just a meeting, the introduction of like, hey, like this is us. I was like, okay, why not? So, yeah, I think it was like 2018, 2019. I got into powerlifting, and here I am.
Oh, okay.
So
I know with me, I think it was like when I was introduced to the team, it was mostly through, I think it was like Instagram, and then also I saw some lifters that were lifting in the rec. I think it was a long time ago. I think it was like around like 2019. It was, I don't know I forgot her name, but it was Brenda, and then she would always tag along. I think it was the former president at one point, but she decided to leave. She would always come like at the rec and lift a lot. I'm just like, damn, that girl's strong as fuck. Yeah. She's lifting more than me. But it was mostly introduced, I think, I also found out about it mostly on Instagram. That's what it was for me. Do you remember who asked if you wanted to join?
Yeah, I was gonna say, who recruited you?
It was Brenda and Angel.
It was?
Yeah, Brenda and Angel. Well, actually, it was mainly Angel. I saw Brenda; she was working out.
Mm-hmm.
But it was Angel that walked up to me and asked me if I was interested.
Oh, okay.
So.
What were you doing at the moment?
I think I was just doing deadlifts. Like I was warming up for deadlifts, and then I think it was like, it was trash. It was like 365. Like it was 365. I was warming up, and then so she came up to me. She saw my shirt because it was Iron Asylum. It was a gym back at home.
Okay.
And it was cut up on the sleeves. Try to show off at the rec. And so she asked me if I was interested in joining the powerlifting team. That's how that happened.
Okay.
So you guys are both. Well, you're a former officer, but you're a current officer. Do you guys recruit like that anymore? Because I feel like there's no like I approached Chase.
That's me.
I approached Chase in the rec because he was wearing a powerlifting shirt, but like nobody came up to me and was like, "Hey, do you want to join the powerlifting team?" Like y'all recruit like that still, or is it more like now that you're established, it's like there's no need for anything like that? I don't know how big the team was when you joined, because I joined in 2021.
Yeah, it was smaller than what we have now. Like it was smaller. Like I think our team was just as big as like our group that goes to Metro constantly. It was like around that big. That was like 20 something people.
But I think for us, it was I know for sure like every now and then. I know for me, I don't really recruit that much just because it's kind of like when I go to the gym as a powerlifter, you're there for like hours sometimes. So I'm like, I don't want to like try to talk to someone as of right now. Because that's my main goal is just trying to think, okay, I want to get my training done, especially if I have schoolwork and everything done, ready. So that was the main thing. But I know other people do try to recruit. I know Chase does it. I mean, because he works at the rec sometimes. He'll try to recruit every now and then. I think Ben did too. Our president tried to recruit. He did recruit some people, I think. I just don't remember who it was specifically. No, I think it was Brendan. Brendan, I think he met at the gym, asked him if he wanted to try out, and then now he's on the team. But as my officer, not really, unless it's like amazing numbers, like people we don't have on the team just yet, or like we're looking for a certain weight class. Maybe it's because one of us is going to graduate soon. I think that's a good thing to like try and recruit when you see people at the rec. But not really, not that I know of, because not only that, like not many of the officers go to the rec anymore.
Yeah,
I was gonna say like I haven't been to the rec in a long time.
Yeah.
I think it's like mainly like as shitty as it sounds, if it's like something impressive, especially at the rec. At the rec, a lot of things are impressive. Like you go in there, you don't even know what's going to
expect. Yeah.
So I mean, I feel like if it's like someone squatting 405 for like 12 reps, that like half squat, obviously, you don't want that. But if it's someone like squatting 455, 2 solid reps, and then they look like they're what's it called? What are those people? Do you even lift, bro?
Yeah. DYLs.
Yeah.
Deals. I call them deals.
Yeah. So if you see those, it's like okay, like. Who are you? Like, let me get some information, Let me get your Instagram and we'll talk from there, So I feel like it's like one of those things that catches your eye in a good way, instead of just like, oh, this guy just quarter squat 405, like.
Okay, like a lot of people can do that too.
Yeah.
And then, especially with the fact that like if they're following like the powerlifting standards, like pausing, reaching depth, and everything, I'll be like, okay, this person can do their thing. But of course, you can also detect whether or not they're strong enough, especially if like even though they low like touch and go 315, that's still a lot, especially because I've seen some guys that are like they touch and go, but it's like it would be like close grip 315, like and I'll be like
for that football
that's still a lot.
Yeah.
Either way, that's still a lot. Yeah, if they pause it, maybe take off like what 15, 20 pounds off of it. That's still a lot.
Yeah.
Especially depending on like their weight. That's the biggest thing to us. Because if we do like, okay, this person can lift about the same amount as one of our other teammates, like whether it's John, you, or me, it's kind of like, all right, we don't really need another person because we already filled up by now. It'd be like, okay, unless, like I said, someone's graduating. It'd be like, okay, that makes sense. But Not only that, we don't. When you go to the gym, you kind of also don't want to be that person that's like bothering. I feel like, especially when we go to the gym, I don't want to feel like I'm bothering, like getting into their workout and then bothering them about it. But if I do notice, like, okay, this guy has potential, yeah, I'm more than likely I'll probably ask.
Yeah, catch him on a break or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in between sets. Yeah, because it's like vice versa. You don't want someone like you on rack 405 and someone's like, hey, like, and like, bro, like I unracked 405 already. Like, give me
a second.
yeah, you know.
But
It reminds me of the time I was talking to Vince while I was bench pressing. He was like, "Bro, shut up and just finish your set."
Vince, yeah. I mean, then again, yeah, he's that aggressive. But
so one thing that I wanted to talk to both of you about, I don't know if we want to get into topics just yet, but like so you were a former officer, correct? You were the VP at one point, and you're a current officer. Like, I always wanted to know about the politics behind running and being a part of an authority figure in the powerlifting team, because it kind of seems like from the outside that like there's a lot of like, how do I want to say this? Like, if you paid attention, right? Because there's a lot of people on the team that are just like they're not paying attention. But if you pay attention, it seems like there's a lot of shade that happens. Like you're laughing, so I feel like you know what I'm talking about, right?
we talk about it.
I just want to know.
Blur our faces, blur our faces. No name dropping.
We can cut that part out if you don't want to talk about it.
I would say like, okay, but
I was just wondering if like how it can. Okay, let me, especially for you since you're here and you were the VP, like managing all those egos on the team. Like how did you go about that, or were you very passive? I know the VP position can be like one where it's like you're either doing a lot or you're doing like nothing. So I just wanted to know, like, what was your experience as a VP?
As shitty as it sounds, it's like you said. It's like you're either doing a lot or you're doing nothing. I was doing nothing. So it's because Ben, like I like Ben. Ben is awesome. You know, Ben's a man of many talents. But dude, the guy works so hard and too much, where he thinks he can. I don't know. He just takes on everything and does it on his own. I wonder if it's like because he has to, because he has the president title, or is it just like that's him as a character? And I wish like at the time, like when I was VP, that I would take some of that load to make it a lot easier. Maybe like organize the team a little bit more, because at the time. I don't think we weren't even disorganized. It was just mainly like we weren't even having problems. Like there was like no problems at all. Like nobody had a high ego.
Well, I think the time especially whenever I decided to try out, it was around the time when it was kind of like it was in a little bit of we were in a little bit of a limbo, because it was like right after I think COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like right after that.
Yeah, so it was kind of. Like, it wasn't too hard to manage, because it was just like Matt said, COVID happened. There was like nothing to do, you know? I mean, yeah, we had to get the name out there, we had to post on social media, we had to try to get fundraisers, whatever we can to fundraise. But it was just kind of weird. It was like that awkward stage. Like, I mean, as you know, maybe you, a lot of people have high egos, and it sucks because we're on the same team. So why are we going at each other? You know,
especially if we're trying to be a team.
Yeah. So I don't know. It was interesting. So when I was VP, none of that was going on. None of that was going on. Not saying like, oh, you know, times change or whatever. It hasn't. There's a way to put a stop to it. But it's just, I don't know. It's interesting. Interesting how it's going to go in the future. So,
I mean, I think especially like right now, we kind of have. I think, in my opinion, from what I've seen, is like there's a little bit more of like a camaraderie as of right now. Thankfully, like we're all like, especially like after seeing how it was at Collegiate Cup, like it was nice seeing that we had that type of camaraderie. Like, we didn't care about egos or anything. We still tried to support each of our lifters that were competing. I think right now it's kind of, we're in a good spot as of right now from what I've seen. I mean, of course, there's going to be egos no matter what, no matter what we do. It's kind of hard to like really handle that kind of thing, because for me, I just like, I'm still going to support them. If they have an ego, there's nothing I can do to stop it. I'm just kind of like, whatever, you know, good job, you know. I think I didn't know how to really go about it. So that was the main thing for me. So, okay, so to go back where you were saying, so you see someone who has an ego and is kind of toxic, mm-hmm. Are you going to be like, yeah, good job? And like, because I feel like to them it's like, oh, he's rewarding me, you know, mm-hmm. at that point. So it's like, should you say something? Like, because obviously you can't let it go, mm-hmm. right? You're going to have to say something eventually, because it's going to start affecting other people. Mm-hmm. For me, whenever I noticed when there was like some types of like egos or problems going on, I would usually try to bring it up with every other officer too, just to kind of see like their own perspective on it, because I don't want to be the only person that thinks like this person has an ego, and then it's like, oh, I don't want people thinking I'm biased. I'm just gonna be like, hey, like, I'll ask Ben, Brian, everyone else together and be like, I'll ask as a, not name drop anyone, just be like, have y'all noticed any type of toxicity or, you know, ego going on? And I'll try to get a consensus about it. And if they say, no, not that I noticed, I'll be like, I'll bring it up. I'll be like, okay, well, and such and such. That's when you name drop. Mm-hmm. Okay. I'll name drop and tell them like, hey, I noticed between these people, yeah, they haven't, you know, they've been having like, type of ego going on. And I'll be like, well, what can we do to fix it? And I think that's the problem, is kind of like, it's hard to fix this person's ego, because and trying to confront them about it, I think that's the thing. Because for me, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a very confrontational person. I'll be like, this person has ego and stuff, and it's like, have you talked to him about it? You go talk about it. Because no one wants to be that guy. Mm-hmm. You know? No one wants to walk up and be like, hey, you have an ego, can you turn it off? Mm-hmm. Or like turn it down, you know? Mm-hmm.
It's a fine line, because then you come off as the guy with the ego, yeah. Right?
And you try to be like, it's hard to do, because it's the fact that like, how do you go about it to them in a nice, really nice way? Because it's like, if you go about it trying to say like, hey, like, that was a good lift, but I just want to talk to you a little bit, and then it would just be like trying to single them out, but I'm like, I don't want to be that person. But eventually, that's why I'm kind of like, with Ben, I know he's kind of a person that would also be kind of confrontational about it, and like ask them, since he kind of had, like you said, he takes on that role and does a lot. And I'll tell him about it and try to have him be about it, because I feel like he's a better person about confronting someone. So I'm like, I'll let him handle it. Yeah. But makes sense. Yeah, I would say it's one thing that's difficult about it. That's the problem. I don't know how to confront it. Yeah. But yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because. Sorry, this is the last thing I just want to say about this.
I mean, you're here to talk, Joe.
It's just like I don't like how we're on the same team. We should be on the same page. Why are we attacking each other? Mm-hmm. And then that goes on to the conversation we had in Austin. Why are powerlifters attacking each other? We should be working together. You know. Mm-hmm. So
yeah. That was a comment I made about the culture.
Yeah.
Because it seems like. Inside powerlifting, there's a lot of conflict with people, mm-hmm. and it's like how they lift, like, and like a bunch of stupid shit like mm-hmm. that divides us. And it's like, my point was like the normies, right? So the people who don't lift at all, mm-hmm. right? And even some of the DYLs or some of the, you know, casual goers, they already think that we look ridiculous. They already think we look weird. They already think that we're dumb. Mm-hmm. So why are we fighting amongst ourselves? Mm-hmm. Like, why is there a divide in powerlifting? Why are powerlifters shaming each other for their mm-hmm. technique, especially? It's like, that was the point that I was making, mm-hmm. and it does ring true. It's like, we're on the same team. Like, there should never be a time in which we're putting each other down. Mm-hmm. You know, because like, we're all trying to do the same thing. If everybody succeeds, then we succeed. Like the individual succeeds. You know, it's like what is that saying? It's like when the tides rise and then all the ships or something like that. I can't remember, but you know what I'm saying. Like when the tide comes in, all ships rise. So if somebody does good, we all do good.
It's
right?
like I eat, the team eats. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's just like I do see it because I see it not only like on the team but like in general powerlifting. Like I can see it like people will talk shit, but maybe it's like a mix of kind of like people having this ego, but then also there's those people who have this competitive mindset, you know, like especially if they are going against this person in whenever they compete, there's like that competitive mindset and they'll talk shit, and I'm like, okay, that's understandable. But like the people who have this ego where it's like, oh, because they lift more than them, it's like, well, bro, you're in like the 100 kg weight class. This person's in a fucking 66 kg weight class. Yeah, of course you're gonna lift more, obviously, but y'all do like the same. Y'all both do sumo. Y'all both like, it doesn't matter. It's just like, well, this person's good in their own prospective weight class. But yeah, I do understand there's like this big ego problem and people fighting each other, especially if they're on the same team.
Yeah, and it's also like calling people out like on the way. It's like, oh, like that's just 135. That's not heavy at all. Well, it kind of ranges between body weight and how long have you been lifting and all that. Is like, just because you know you can squat like 400 or 500 pounds, just because 135 is not heavy for you doesn't mean it's not going to be heavy for the next person in line of the squat rack or whatever, you know?
Yeah, lift shaming doesn't make any sense to me. Because like we were all squatting 135 at one point anyway. Like, you know, so it's like you've been here and you got out. Why are you making fun of somebody who's there?
Yeah.
Like, if anything, you should be encouraging and helping them so that they don't have to make the same mistakes that you did. That's the one thing. That's one thing about lift culture. I don't like.
That's why I'm glad, like with one of our teammates, Alex. Like I'm very like proud of her and happy that she, with anyone really in the gym, whether it's no matter how light it is or how heavy it is, she'll like hype up someone.
Cheers them on. Yeah.
Cheers them on, and then like making sure if they need a spot. But that's the thing I always look up to her as far as like being motivated and motivating others, not only for herself or our team, but for everyone she sees.
People that go to the gym who don't even compete, she's there yelling across the gym.
Yeah. That's the thing I'm like, I wish there was more of.
Yeah.
Like, so that people aren't especially not afraid to be like, you know, even though I live light compared to so-and-so, you know, I have a good group around us as far as like, and having a good mindset about powerlifting rather than seeing powerlifting where people are like having egos. Yeah. But I understand for sure. But going on to about you too is, I thought there's ego and everything as far as other besides that, but speaking of about like going off of Alex and how she's looking up to her and everything, I was wondering like who was like the first, I guess, well-known powerlifter you were like, damn, there's people like this?
Yeah.
That was the one thing because I'm curious about. It was like, who was the first person, if you can remember?
They call it the Finspo. It's like a fitness inspiration. So who is your Finspo?
I mean, I think it's like the most common. It was Russ.
Really?
Yeah, he was the man who brought powerlifting to the social media scene, you know, because not everyone did that. Everyone was focusing on bodybuilding and achieving the aesthetics, you know, to become the next sick cunt. You know? It was just, I mean, it was Russ. I don't know who was after that, and then eventually it was Pug the Goat, Richard.
Okay.
So
that was the first powerlifter that you looked up to. It was Russ when you first saw.
Yeah.
Okay.
But now I don't necessarily like look up to like those people anymore. Not to shame or anything, but it's like why start comparing yourself to you know, people. It's like, oh, Russ just squatted, you know, so and so, you know, and I can only squat this much, you know. So I mean, I don't know. Like I still follow them on Instagram and like look at the lifts. I'm like, whoa, like Russ did this.
Oh yeah.
You know, but it's like once you get in that rabbit hole and that endless loop of like, damn, like I want to be like that, it just starts, you yourself start becoming like your worst enemy. And I've learned that over the past, year or so with lifting. So.
Oh yeah, especially whenever it's like you start looking at people in your weight class, and then it's just like, man, just if I want to be on their level, I have to lift like them. Then you start seeing other people. It's like, well, they're not really well known, but they're still lifting more than me. I'm like, god damn. But yeah, like that's why I'm just kind of like, no, I'm just kind of like focusing on myself as far as a powerlifter. Like, well, as long as I'm improving myself, okay, whatever. Like, it's not gonna hurt me if someone else is doing better. I was like, there's always gonna be people that's better, no matter what. But as far as another person, I remember the first person that I saw was famous or like well known in powerlifting in general was well, he doesn't really do it anymore, but it was Larry Wheels. And that was like a long time ago, before he was even like anywhere famous he is right now. It was way before, where it was just mainly powerlifting that he did, and I was like, what the fuck? I was like, damn, he can lift that much? And then of course, it was obvious, he was honest, like he was on something, but still, that's still heavy as fuck.
Yeah, you still got to put in the work regardless,
I think it was for sure him, and then the next person I remember seeing, I think it was John Hack.
John Hack.
Yeah. Bilbo Swaggins. Yeah, it was him. But then again, it's like he's good in both federations. So at the end of the day, yeah. What about you, honey?
So for Powerlifting Inspiration, probably also Russ.
It was Russ.
I would say was the guy who really started they made me want to be a powerlifter. I don't know if you want to count him, but Jeff Nippert as well. I know he's more known for being a bodybuilder, but he was a powerlifter technically. And who else? I mean, like, there are guys who did like general strength with a focus on powerlifting, like Omar Isuf, for example, but they never competed, so they're not really powerlifters. But I guess I would probably say Russ if for a guy who like was a powerlifter, like only him, maybe Bart Kwan.
True, yeah.
I totally forgot about Bart.
I totally felt that guy too, because I remember like, I think there was one video where he did compete. It was a long time ago, and it was funny because I remember when he competed, it was like in like a high school gym or something. That's like how long ago it was before like powerlifting started to become like a well-known sport that everyone actually started to do. But I forgot, Bart Kwan for sure.
My former coach, the one I talked to you about last episode, was also used to be a powerlifter. He doesn't compete anymore, to my knowledge. But yeah, I was like messing with the whole Kaizen crew, so that was Silent Mike, and then Omar and Bart. So yeah, that's kind of what really got me into it, essentially.
Because you unlocked the memory. Sorry, you unlocked the memory. Another good powerlifter that kind of inspired me was Candido.
Oh,
Candido.
of course.
I forgot about Candido.
Candido the burrito.
Yeah. He did, but the thing with him is like, he did provide a lot of good information too.
Yeah,
He was there before everybody for Raw, especially for Raw. It was like if you wanted to be a powerlifter and you didn't want to put on a bench shirt, you were watching Candido in 2011.
I forgot he also was like good enough to actually go to the IPF for go to Worlds, which was crazy to me.
I saw in a video, just to like talk about Candido and how good he was and how he's managed to survive this whole time. So he won Worlds, or was it Worlds or was it Raw Nationals? I can't remember. But he won one of those in 2014. Out of every single lifter in his class who was in the final flight that was competing with him to win, he's the only one still competing. The only one still powerlifting.
Damn.
So, Candido's a beast. His passion runs deep, and he's got longevity. So,
but speaking of which, after the voice critic stop is we can all agree like with Russ and his influence into like the powerlifting sport is how much he made it where it looked cool. Like he made it I would say he has a big influence as far as like making it look good. Actually,
Still does to this day.
to this day, with the work with Duhan and everything, making it actually look cool to do powerlifting rather than being like people just squat benching and deadlifting. But with the whole influence, and now that it's gotten to the point where we have a pro series now, so it's crazy to me that we've reached this point.
Yeah, the USAPL was able to divorce from the IPF and survive and thrive and maybe even eclipse the IPF.
And then not only that, like actually giving for these pro series events is actually giving these top lifters money.
Yes.
Something to actually work hard for. Than just being like, okay, you won. Here's first place.
Yeah,
and then
here's a medal that. It was funny. I actually found those medals online that you can buy. They're like $2.
Really?
Yeah, $2 a medal. And I was like,
well, all right, I guess.
anybody could be a winner. Yeah.
You both have medals too, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it from both the same meet, the rookie meet?
Yeah. Yeah.
From the rookie meet, yeah.
First place.
I mean, it's funny because it's like they use that same medal. I don't even know for how long because those were like the same medals they had at Collegiate Cup, which was like 2 months later, I think.
Well, to be fair, they're badass looking.
They look good though.
The only thing that's different is the collar thing, the ropes, the rope color. It changes. That's about it.
But I mean, either way, they still look cool. But now I'm glad that it's like starting to like blow up now, like the sport itself, and hopefully it gets big enough where they can start paying even more and even reaching television. I mean, even though it doesn't, either way, I like where it's going with how the popularity.
As long as it goes up, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just like, I'm thankful for all these big lifters, Russ, John Hack, Atwood, everyone that's making a big influence to make it bigger, and then also making it look fun to do.
Yeah, Krawcheck, he does a lot of that as well. Calgary.
True. But
yeah, I mean, it's the social media. It's I think powerlifting's popularity would have always skyrocketed because of social media. Just because it's like it's just built for it. When you get hype and you have a max deadlift, and it's like it's just like it's built for that traction.
And then also like building the audience, and then everyone being like, "Well, these fuckers are strong." I'm like, "What the fuck?" And it's like that's the thing that I with social media, everything, it's made it blow up more, gain its popularity and everything. Yeah. So, and not only that, like also thinking about it with Russ is the fact that like with coaching too, like now it's like almost like cool to join like a coaching like Joy Flex. It's like cool. It's like were you ever coached by them or whether it's like Sean Noriega or
it's almost like the coaches have also become like instead of wanting to be
fucking cold.
You're fucking cold.
No, it's like a cult, but
yeah, it's a cult. No,
but it's like it makes it
like
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like there's a lot of pride in being part of a team.
Yeah.
Like I have pride saying that I'm part of the Texas State Powerlifting team.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So it's almost like the coaches have become like the stars, like Flex. Like people want to be with Flex. People want to be under TSG. People want to join the strength athlete. People want to be, I remember like for bodybuilding back in the day, it was 3DMJ. I don't know if you guys know anything about 3DMJ. It's like Eric Helms, Alberto Nunez, Jeff Alberts, and Brian
so
Loomis.
familiar.
Yeah, they were like a really, really famous. Like they were for natural bodybuilding, so like they're like kind of the Joey Flex. In fact, Flex was a client of Nunez. I want to say,
funny.
yeah. Nunez's coaching tree is like crazy long. He's coached some of the most famous guys. I don't know if you guys know who Brendan Teets is. He's a famous powerlifter. Not really famous, but he's got a YouTube channel. He's got like 50,000 subscribers. He was a Nunez client. Flex was a Nunez client. Nippard was under Eric Helms. So was Omar Yusuf. So like these guys' trees, like they're like crazy long. So like you can see the influence over the years of like how the culture has like how they shaped the culture and shaped the landscape. And I just wonder like like who's like how far it's gonna go and who's gonna be the next like like the sort of the master sitting above with all the screens and just watching everything.
That reminds me of this, like, popping off of coaching. I know it's like for us, it's like, I mean, the mindset of like how we started with just going to the gym and everything and our training goes. I was curious about each of us, but starting with you, John, is as far as training, the difference from you being coached, of course, by Brian, your training as of right now compared to how you started. Like, for me, it was just kind of like when I talked about it in the last episode, it was just like I would go there, run for like a mile, then start doing like, I don't know, I would do like a bicep curls, and then go straight to doing leg press, and then doing like a full body like everyday thing. And then I'm just like, why did I do that? But what would you say, what was your training compared to how you are doing now?
Oh man, it was a split. Obviously, because I did research and all that about like what to do and whatnot. So like I said, I didn't start powerlifting until like 2019. So before then, it was a split. I looked up a split. I mean, it was from different bodybuilders and all that. So it would be a split. It would be push, pull, rest, legs, and then I forgot what the other one was. It was like shoulders and like arms or something like that.
Classic.
Yeah. And then just rinse and repeat, you know? And so it was that over and over again. And compared to now, I mean, I feel like I was just organized. Like I was always, I'm to the T now. Not so much on warm-ups, you know, because I'm gonna be honest. Sorry, Brian. I'm gonna be honest. Not until now. Recently, like I started taking warm-ups more serious. Like I want to say within maybe like a few weeks, I started taking warm-ups like a little bit more serious. But back then, man, I didn't warm up at all, dude. I did not warm up at all. But you know, you're young. You know, you were young. You didn't know what the hell to do. You know, obviously I wouldn't start heavy, but like I wouldn't warm up anything, dude. Like it's crazy. Like looking back now, like just imagine it's like, okay, well I'm gonna start benching. It's like just get underneath the bar and start benching. And then compared to now, you're doing these bandage stretches, PRIs, and all that. It's just crazy. It's crazy.
I mean, yeah, it's just kind of like right now, whenever you start thinking about it, it's just like, at the time you were young, so you were kind of like, you don't really have to worry about a big injury at that point. I mean, even if you did, you would most of the time you would recover quickly. So you're just like, it's whatever. And
you're not lifting as much. Like, you know, when you're starting, you're not benching 375. Like,
that's true. Yeah.
Your max is like 140. So it's like you don't.
Damn, your max was 140.
I walked into the gym and I was able to do like 105 for 10 reps.
I still remember whenever I was in high school. Yeah, like I was in high school. I remember like whenever I was friends with some of the people that were like on the football team. I remember like going to the gym with them or using their little like football gym facility. I remember I was bench pressing. I don't know what made me think like I told them I could do like 10 reps of 135, but I was scrawny as hell. Like I was telling you, like I remember, like I was telling you, like I was so skinny. So I'm like, yeah, I could do like 135 for 10 reps. I did like, what was it, 105 for like 1 rep, and that was me going. And I was just like, I don't even know what made me think, oh, I could do 155. You know, wrong. But like, yeah, without no warm up either. That was the thing too. Like what you were saying, it's like no warm up, nothing. But now it's kind of like, since we are getting older, we realize how important it could be, just so that we don't have an injury now. Now we have to think about that. It's like, well, my rotator cuff is pretty sore right now.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes all it takes is like, you know, like when we first get to the gym, we're like, fuck. It's like, god damn it, I have to warm up. And it takes about like 20 minutes at most. If you're Brian, maybe 30. But
Brian, oh man,
20 at most.
It's gonna be so bad. We slandered him so bad. Love you, Brian.
No, but it's 20 at most, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes, like, you know, you skip something or you know you do this, it's like you're like, fuck.
Yeah, I know.
It's like maybe I should have taken like that 5 minutes.
Yeah, the problem is that 20 minutes, like skipping that, could turn into like a week off. If you're not careful enough.
I mean, because it's I strained my pec maybe like 2 weeks ago when I was doing 365 again, and something like fell off. I was like, all right, well, it's my last set, whatever. You know, I did it, went down, it didn't come back up, and I was like, fuck. And so yeah, started taking warm ups a lot more serious, because it still bothers me to this day, which sucks because I'm competing Sunday.
I know.
So we'll see how that goes. But I've been doing my warm ups, especially static holds. So those are pretty nice. It gets it kind of going, but it still kind of bothers me. But it's not too bad, not as bad as it was when it first happened. So
you would say like in the past you had kind of like a bro split type of setup where it was like chest and tries, back, buys, legs, and then shoulders, arms, or something like that. And then now you're much more like concrete, structured. It's like, you know, I know you and I are both coached by Brian, so I kind of have an idea of what you're doing. Although he does program people individually, differently. Like some splits are different, and I wish that he would give me more stuff, or some stuff, not more stuff. But to get that back. So like, how would you describe your training like right now? Like your split, your setup, versus back then.
You know what's funny? It's actually similar.
Yeah,
It's actually similar, except I'm not pushing. I'm pulling first. So it'll be a pull, and then a push, and then a rest, and then legs.
Oh, okay.
And then, you know, another push, but it's like a secondary push, mixed with belt squats, and then that's where we start focusing on the tris and the shoulders. And
so we are training the same way. Okay.
Yeah. So, but it's funny because I wasn't training like that at first when I was with him. It was mainly focused on it was the other way actually. It was a push and then a pull. So it was just like how I was when I first started off. But we switched that. Started getting tendinitis. You know, just you know, all that schnaz, the good powerlifting stuff. So yeah, now my split just changed just by a little bit, like starting off. So
what about you, Manny?
Oh man. I mean, for me, it was like the split was basically almost every day. It was almost like that, and I didn't give my body a rest. I remember at one point I thought in my mind, like what we talked about in the last episode, is that I focused more on weight, and I had in my mindset like, if I lose all this weight, you know, I'm gonna look good. But the split was like, you could imagine. So it was, I would run first. There's that first problem. Run first. And this was like, not only just like running for like just a warm up, like running as in like running for 2 miles.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the running for 2 miles. And then after that, I would go straight to doing my weight training, which was like the full body. So do like an exercise for each body part, major muscle group for, I don't know, it was like the same thing almost all the time. So what I would do is like maybe like I would do dumbbell press, then I would go to the rows, then I would go to leg press, then I would do bicep curls, then I would do like I think lateral lateral raises, and then I'd be like, all right, I'm set. But then I would try to do that like the next day, and you're like, oh my, whatever to gain the muscles. But then again, I didn't know what to do. Yeah. I wasn't keeping track of macros either. I was mostly paying attention to the weight. So I would do that like consecutively. Like I would do that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I don't even know if I gave myself a day off. That was the thing. So I don't even know how I did it. But I think that went on for a little bit. I would say it went on for about until basically I was done with high school. I would say maybe a little bit into my first 2 years of college, and then I slowly started to learn more and search up videos of like doing training, how to pay attention to like macros and everything. So that's what I would do, and it helped a little bit. But as of compared to now, I'd probably say within the last 2 years, I would say, or even now, like since the past year, through all the classes I've taken, especially here at Texas State, is keeping aware of, hey, you need to at least include at least one rest day, giving each muscle group like alternating, push-pull, upper body, lower body, like those things actually helped a lot now, and also gave me a better understanding of my coach with Big Matt, like kind of understanding why he has it that way, switching from upper body to lower body, adding certain supplemental accessories so it can help with your lifts. Now I can have a good understanding of why they do that, and also helping out with whenever I start coaching to kind of like have a good understanding of how I should be programming people. So yeah, a big change in the right direction, for sure.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, what about you, Ani?
Well, my training had evolved a lot over the years. We mentioned it a little bit in the last episode, but like there were some times where I worked out in high school, and I worked out with guys who would like watch the Hodge twins. And they based all of their training knowledge off of the Hodge twins.
They're funny.
And so we were doing like chest and shoulders and arms like all the time. We never did any back exercises, never did any leg exercises, because my friend was like, I don't want a big back, I don't want big legs, I just want all the front, and that's it. So when I started really working out, I made a lot of mistakes. And I was making a mistake out the gate. So I never ran a novice program. There was a guy, another dude, separate from the guy who coached me, but they were in the same sort of sphere. Mm-hmm. And he had a program that was essentially German volume training.
Oh.
I don't know if you know what German volume training is.
Yeah, I know.
So for the audience, it's 10 by 10s, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I entered the gym doing. And it was all exercises 10 by 10s. Everything was a 10 by 10.
And not to mention, it wasn't like RP5 or RP6.
No, but I was in the beginning, I was using linear progression on these. So like, even if a day or two were like easier, like because I was like using linear progression, I'm gonna go up 5 pounds. I'm gonna go up 5 pounds. Eventually, it got really, really tough. Mm-hmm. And I injured myself. No surprise. The first of my lower back problems began at that point. And then, because I was like so invested into influencer like culture, I guess at the time, that's when I started following other people's programs. So I ran a program for my coach that was more of a novice program. That was a full body 3 times per week program, using the rep goal system, which is essentially kind of like double progression, where you progress to like a maximum of a rep range and then you add weight. So like, for instance, like it said in 3 sets get 30 reps, and once you get 30 reps you can move up in weight essentially. So I could do 3 by 10, or I could do a set of 15, a set of 12, and then a set of, I guess that would be 3, but you know what I'm saying. So I did that, and then I hired that guy. All right, he had me doing all kinds of weird stuff. There was an upper lower for a second, then there was a body part split for a second, and like I spun my wheels a lot, especially in the lower body lifts, and then I fired him obviously because that relationship ended. And then I ran one of Russ Swole's programs. I ran his first powerlifting program.
But what were you gonna say? What were you finishing your thought on? But
It was the you said you were running Russell's.
Yeah. So I was rushing. Oh my god. I was running his first powerlifting program, and I actually got pretty good results from that. I finished 275 at the end of that program.
nice.
And then I ran Candido 6 week for a minute. Only one cycle, unfortunately. I should have ran multiple cycles. And then, let's see. What was I doing after Candida's 6 week? I have no idea.
Were you doing Jeff Nippard's one?
I did do Jeff Nippard's program, but that was later.
Okay.
Oh, I remember. So I was running his legs push pull program, and then COVID hit.
Fucking COVID.
And then I saw, I had to take 2 months off from any gym activities, and then I came back, and I ran like a free program I found online. It was a full body DUP style program, and then I injured my knee, so I had to stop that. Then I programmed myself through that. It was my upper program, and that's how I actually got to a 300-pound bench for the first time. And then I started Jeff Nippard's powerlifting program.
Okay.
Ran that for 7 weeks. Hit a 315 squat for the first time.
Oh shit!
Got injured again.
Was it during the squat or is it just like something else?
No, so here's the story of that. So what happened was, this was during, so I had officially transferred to Texas State at this time, but I was online only still. So I was still living with my parents in Austin. And it was finals week. And I was so worried about this chem final. Because this chem final, he was gonna proctor us manually, and I knew that I couldn't finesse my way through this final. I had to study really, really hard. So I stayed up all night, took the final, and then I was gonna go to the gym, but I decided not to do it. That was a bit of a stupid idea. So I slept, and then I took the next day off too. Then I go into the gym, and I'm probably like hella dehydrated. I haven't really moved out of my bed for a while. I'm getting under the squat bar. I remember this very clearly. I had a triple at 9. I wanted 300. I was like, I'm going to squat a triple at 9. It'll be a huge PR for me. And then I put 225 on, and like it stapled me. Like I felt the back pop, the pain shooting down the leg. I could not even move it up. I got stapled.
God, did you warm up at least?
I did a few warm-ups, like to get my body warm. I was on the treadmill for like 10 minutes. I did some leg swings. I did not warm up my lower back at all. I couldn't tell you what it was. I think maybe my brace just wasn't good. My pelvis kind of tucked under a little too much. And then that sciatic nerve just got hella pinched. And the disc was compressed. It was a compressed disc. And yeah, it just like stopped. My nerves were compressed and I couldn't move my muscles. So yeah, I got stable by 225. That was probably the most demoralizing thing that's ever happened to me in my entire lifting career, because not only was like I was riding a wave of PRs that I had, and I knew my when I tested, it was going to be crazy. I thought I had 405 deadlift. I thought I had at least 350 on squat, maybe 365, and I was hoping for 315 on bench. And like the fact that I was not, and on top of that, I had a YouTube series going that had a lot of views, and I thought I could catapult this into doing something else. But I had to cut it prematurely, so I got hella demoralized by that experience, and I feel like I haven't really recovered from it like yet still. So that's also very depressing. But after that, I programmed myself pretty much for a while. I ran like Greg Knuckles had like a PDF of like 28 free programs. I used a couple of those templates. I ran the Strength Athletes 9-week intermediate program. And then I went back to that free DUP program. And then I busted my finger open on the racks at SB. Woo! And after that, I was like... So, my relationship with Brian started at that point, essentially. Now, I feel like it was a combination of not really wanting to program myself anymore, and like a lack of confidence, because at this point I was like, I'm ready to take the next step. I'm ready to step on the platform. I don't know if I should try to do this by myself, essentially, is what I was thinking. And you know, I immediately hit it off with Brian. We have great chemistry. I have a great rapport with him. I trust him. So I was like, I'm gonna have him handle me through this situation. And kind of never really looked back from there. My programming right now is a little weird to me because I do feel like you were saying, I feel like it's kind of like a body part split essentially, where I go in and I do my squats and I do all my leg accessories, and I go in and I do my bench and I do all my bench accessories, and then I go and do my deadlift and I do all my deadlift accessories. And then there's like a day where I'm squatting and doing a deadlift variation, it's benching and doing deadlift variation, and that's kind of like a combination of the two. And then there's like a third bench day where it's like more tricep focused, more isolation style focused. So it's really weird. I'm used to full body training. Like that's kind of the training that I really like the most. So I'm like, that's kind of the training that I like the most. So it's been an adjustment, but I have hit PRs and I trust Brian. So I'm not gonna question his judgment.
There's a thing I want to go back a little bit. You said you were studying for a chemistry test, right?
Yes,
and
it's my final.
Yeah, and you didn't want to go to the gym that day.
Yeah.
And you waited 2 days, right?
Yeah.
So you think if you would have went to that, you think you would have went to the gym that day, you would have?
I mean, I don't think it would have been better necessarily because I was on zero sleep.
Right.
But
do you think you would have hurt your back or something like because I was in a similar situation because I had a myotarianous meniscus and it still fucks with me to this day. I went down on a squat and then on my way up my leg kind of shifted and it popped and I was like, oh shit, let me rack it real quick. And like I wondered to myself, was like, what if I wasn't like so aggressive? What if I was like calm, brace, take my time.
I definitely think that would have, I think, when I went to that gym that day, my thought process wasn't, okay, you've just taken 3 days off. You might need to be a bit more cautious. Maybe you shouldn't, I don't know. But, one thing I did do the first time was jump from 135 straight to 225. That was I think that was a mistake. But also, I should have taken my time, warm up a little bit more, and I should have just been more conscious of my technique. But I was so excited to be back. Number one, and number two, I had that triple at 9, and I wanted it to be 300, and I was just focused on that, and I think that was probably my downfall. So while I don't think taking the squat on the same day that I took the final would have been a good idea. I think the next day I should have just been okay, now it's business, back to normal.
Yeah.
And just kind of treated it more like a normal gym session instead of
hyping yourself up.
Yeah.
Too amped.
And then just rushing everything because I was
You just wanted to fuck it, top set.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's something that I've found a lot, especially now that I've transitioned to powerlifting training, where there's a lot of top sets and then back downs versus just straight sets. Is not trying to be emotional about it and just it's work, you're going and you're doing work, you're going back home, type of thing. So yeah, there's my training history. So, John.
Yes.
We've had you on here for a long time now, and we still don't know your stats. So why don't you run us through your total, your weight class, your individual lifts, whatever else you feel like is necessary to tell us how you are as a lifter.
Man, that's funny because I joined the team and I was originally a 93 kg, and that's basically what it translates to 205.
Yeah,
give or take pounds. So I came to the team as a 93. COVID hit, that went downhill. And then I was weighing around 105 kg.
231,
yeah. 105 kg, and unfortunately, that is no longer a weight class.
Yeah.
Because right now I'm still sitting the same as 105 kg.
Yeah, you're 230 today, aren't you? Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, well, yeah. So essentially, 105 kg, it's 110, God forbid, So my total, I don't know. It was It was estimated around.
Why don't you give your last meet PRs?
Meet PRs. Okay, so last November at the rookie meet, I think it was like 1340 something.
Okay.
So yeah, I think it's like 1341 or 45, something like that. Now I'm currently hitting. Well, I haven't competed. I'm not competing. Oh, excuse me.
2 days.
Competing in 2 days. Estimated around maybe 1400, maybe a little bit more than 1400. We're shooting for more than 1400. You know. So yeah, it's actually if you look at it like on paper, it's like damn 60 pounds. You know, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Within how many months?
3, 4, right? When was the rookie meet? It's October, right?
No, November.
November. Yeah.
Wow. So like that's 3, right?
Yeah.
We're in
And
February.
that's just with tweaking form here and there, and that's it. You know, so that's a lot. So just because my main goal is to qualify for CNETs as my last year before I graduate, and compete there. So, Collegiate Cup is in December, and then Nats is next year, around in March.
Usually in March, yeah.
March, April, give or take, depending. So yeah, hopefully I can qualify, gain another 60 pounds in my total, and we're straight chilling.
And what about you, Matthew? Since you're also competing in 2 days.
From my last meet, which was we both competed at the same one. My last meet, I mean, technically I had wraps on just because. Not gonna lie, I wanted a medal, so I was like, yeah, let's go. No one didn't equip.
Well,
but if I didn't, and I did it raw, I honestly would have made first if I just did it without wraps. Cause I'm not gonna lie, the wraps weren't like too tight. They felt like sleeves at that point because I didn't have like a squat suit on, anything like that. So it honestly would have been like, I would have had first place if I went raw. But from what I remember, it was for squat. I didn't PR on that one. It was basically the same PR I had. So it was, I think, 363 pounds. Bench, it was 275, and I failed. I think it was 281 because my last PR when I did like my little mock meet was 281. So that was for bench, and then for deadlift, that's the one I did PR on. I hit 485.
Wow.
So my total was like 510 keys. So right now where I'm sitting, that was back when I was 83, whenever it was 83 kgs. And now I'm sitting at like a 90, at the 90 kg weight class. Just because I just wanted it to, for this meet at the Strength Classic, just to kind of have fun with it. I'm not trying to qualify for anything yet. Either way, even if I tried to, what would be the point of me qualifying for if I drop? Because my original plan, like I said, was to do 75. I got COVID and it basically messed it all up. But what would be the point? I might as well just try to hit PRs, whatever it may be, and then be happy with it than making myself suffer doing like a water cut or something. So,
and on top of that, you're graduating soon, huh?
Yeah, it's another too. Like, okay, cool. Like, I qualify. Well, am I gonna try and compete in like 4 weeks?
Yeah.
So not only that, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. The meet is expensive too.
Oh yeah, it's like
Collegiate Nationals is like 150
that's without the
just to register.
Yeah.
And then not only that, you have to take into account like you're paying for a flight, you're paying for your Airbnb or hotel,
groceries and all that.
all those things. And I'm just like, man, I'd rather not do that. So I'm just
like
gonna
$500.
Yeah. So just to compete, not only that, I'm gonna have to stay at 75 if I did try to qualify. It's like there's no way. So now I'm just kind of like happy with where I'm at. But did you talk about your openers or no?
I was gonna ask what your guys' goals for this next meet, because you're both competing in 2 days. You talked about that your total is, you want to hit more than 1400.
Yeah.
So what do you think? What do you think is on the table for you?
You can first talk about your openers as of right now.
Yeah, you can talk about your openers, and then you can, if you want to talk about your thirds, more than welcome.
Or like what you expect to try and hit.
Well, okay, so before we did that, I wanted to ask you a question about your meet in November. You said that you wrapped your knees, but it just felt like knee sleeves. So, is there necessarily like a difference. Like if you were to just put on knee sleeves and say, screw it, I'm gonna compete in equipped, but just have my knee sleeves. Like
Equipped but raw.
like did you feel like an initial difference? Like did it help you a lot? Like were you okay? Actually, let me rephrase it. Were you gonna hit the same numbers you did equipped as you were gonna do in raw?
The thing is, it's like with bench and deadlift, I feel like I would have hit whatever I would hit raw because I didn't have a deadlift suit or a bench shirt, so I didn't think about that. As far as squat, I thought I would have been like, okay, with wraps I would have hit higher, but I guess with how tight they were wrapped, because my coach Big Matt didn't want me to wrap it myself because I would have used so much energy trying to like tighten it. So I think it also has to, I mean, there's so many different ways to wrap knees, and of course we didn't have someone who could wrap it like professionally, so it really didn't help that much. Maybe a little bit, because then again I did water cut for that one too, so my strength, of course, I'm pretty sure went a little bit down, but it didn't really make too much of a difference. I feel like I would have hit the same thing, especially with the fact that like when I did my squat, my third attempt, it was basically the same like number I hit like last time, which was 363, and I was like, okay, it didn't really go up that much. So I just decided after this, I was like, might as well just go back to raw, just compete raw, and then not having to worry about the hassle of trying to put it on at the right time, when to do it, and then be like, have someone there to especially do it for me.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, whatever. But yeah.
Okay, makes sense.
But going off, as far as after that, well, we'll talk about like your openers, and then talk about like what numbers you would like to hit for each lift.
Okay, so obviously you're with Brian.
Mm-hmm.
He calls you like a week before and discuss openers.
Mm-hmm.
So our goal for this meet, not necessarily. Well, he wants to go 9 for 9, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean that's everybody's goal, go 9 for 9.
Mm-hmm.
But I told him I'm okay with not going 9 for 9 as long as I'm like 5 and 9, 6 and 9, or whatever. I'm okay missing a lift or two. But my main goal is, as it should be for everybody, is to do better than your last meet.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my main goal for this meet entirely. Now for C Cup, obviously my goal for that meet, qualify for Nats.
Mm-hmm.
And then go to Nats. But for this meet, so openers, I don't remember what we're opening with on squat.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like,
I think you said like 475 or something like that.
yeah, it's like high 400s,
Mm-hmm.
and then second attempt, I think 5, and then go on for there, maybe PR.
Mm-hmm.
For third attempt, bench for sure is 319.
Mm-hmm.
I can always handle a 315 open. I can bench 315 easily.
Mm-hmm.
We started low on bench because of my pec, the strain.
Just in case.
Yeah. Second attempt, not for sure, but third attempt at least 363.
Mm-hmm.
If not, if the second attempt goes super well,
Mm-hmm.
then shoot for 374.
Okay. And then what about deadlift?
Deadlifts, high 400s, like around 5, because usually I can deadlift 5 pretty smooth consistently throughout this block or this prep. 500's always been smooth butter. So we figure out a problem with me is how to gauge RPE after 500. Because 500, like over 500 is new territory for me. I say new because it's been like 6 weeks like I've been in the 500s. So it's like, give or take, that's not enough time for anybody to get comfortable with 500 in any lift. So since it's new territory, I haven't pulled like 540 plus, so I don't know how that's gonna feel, how my body's gonna react to it or whatnot. So we're gonna slowly build up, and man, hopefully like at least tie my PR in what I pulled during prep, 535 or somewhere around there, maybe, hopefully more. That's the goal. Hopefully more. So the main goal is to do good, to do better than last meet, and also maybe if I can itch out 1400 plus, that'd be sick.
That'd be sick, yeah.
So I know I'm competing against 2 people from UTSA. So that's gonna be interesting.
Because I know it's like when last time I checked, I think it was like for the 100 key weight class. I know it's like there's no one there. You're by yourself, but you said you were gonna jump up, right?
Yeah. So originally I signed up as 100 kg, and it was me and some guy from UTSA, and we were going. I started stressing about weight because I was like, Brian, like 3-4 weeks out, I'm cutting, from 228 to I'm trying to get to as close to 200 as possible, or 220 as possible. So like that we can water cut maybe like a little bit, or not water cut at all. And I know stressing so much on that, on making weight, plays so much in life in general, especially in your lifts. My lifts tanked. Like it was to the point where I keep psyching myself out on squat, and deadlifts were just not it, because I had to rely super heavy on deadlifts. Like deadlifts was gonna make it or break it for trying to qualify for Nats, at least in my head, because I had that goal. I was like, okay, let me qualify for Nats here, like that, so I know I have it in the bag, or at least like somewhere close, so I don't have to stress on it too much at C Cup. I can just go and show out and do my thing. But yeah, no, stressing about it, just I wasn't performing well. You witnessed it, me getting in my head, and so it was just like I'm stressing about something that I have so much time for that I shouldn't be stressing about it. So I was like, I told Brian, I was like, look, I don't care about making weight in the 100s. I'll just be a 110 as like a 228, 230 person, and we'll be okay. We'll take the Wilks and go home, So we'll see how it goes. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of stalk the people I'm going against, and it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be very interesting. It's gonna be close. I will say that it's gonna be real close. So I think squat we're actually around the same. Bench, I have him. I have bench. It's just deadlifts. He has me on deadlifts. So
okay.
Or at least that's one of the people I found on Instagram. Okay. So a little stalking, a little stalking. So it's gonna be interesting. Obviously, one thing going into this meet is what you do in prep is sometimes not what you do at the meet. So you gotta take that with a grain of salt, and hopefully, it's somewhat close. So yeah, I'm excited.
Well, yeah.
You, sir? So you're also competing in 2 days?
For me, it's just from what I remember, for what I'm opening with, it's for squat. I think I remember it's 375. I think squats went up pretty well. I mean, for sure, especially it's like my last PR from my last comp was 363 with knee wraps. So already it looks like it's gonna be pretty good. I'm hoping for at least the 400s. I mean, I've hit 405, but the only problem with that one was just because it started rolling on my back, so it kind of messed up my lift. But I mean, I was able to get up, but it was like a grinder because of that. But at least like the 400s, I would say for sure I would love to hit. Like John said, it depends, especially how I'm feeling that day. Bench did go up to my opener is now I think it was like 270. So it did go up quite well. I would like to hit 300 for at least 300 for one of my third attempt. So
that'd be amazing.
I would be happy with that. Deadlift, that's the one I'm more excited about, because that one did go up for sure. Right now my opener is, I think it was 475, because I remember watching over. It went up fast, so I was like, okay, I'm excited, because I remember like 455 when I would do it for just the top set. I remember it was slow last year, so now it goes up really fast, so I'm like, okay, I'm excited now. 475. Second attempt, I think from what I heard after talking to Matt, is I think he wants to not make too much of a big jump. Depends on how fast it goes. I think he wants me to go like 496, so 4 reds, and then if it looks fast too, then I remember he likes to say it, but like full send it. If it goes really fast, then yeah, he'll be like, all right, let's go 500 something. But
518.
But if it comes down to it, especially with my weight, I know there's a lot of people there's quite a few people actually in the 90s. Probably like I know there's 2 people on our team, D'Angelo, Brendan, competing in the 90s. There are, I think, 2 or 3 UTSA people that are competing that too. And then there's one other person, his name is John Hodge. We saw him at the charity event when he was with the WASP team. You remember he had glasses on.
Oh,
dude,
talking about the deadlift specialist?
Dude's a god. it's funny because
this guy is a deadlift specialist. This man pulled like 700 plus.
Mm-hmm. I think he was also at the I think he was at the Collegiate Cup meet.
Yeah, but
and I think
was
the
handling.
last time
He was handling,
but he looked like he got bigger, and I was like, oh fuck. I was like, oh fuck. So already in my mind, I'm like, okay, he's first.
Yeah, the man's you'll see it. The man's deadlift is
amazing. But
he's a forklift.
And not only that, like that was back when I think he was smaller too. So I don't know if he even had like. He might have had a deadlift suit because I know when he was competing, when he was there with all the other WASP powerlifting teams, there was like some of them were like quick too.
Oh,
but
yeah,
I don't know if he did, but
no, he was
either way.
I remember him. He was right. It was
either way. It was like he pulled 600 like it was nothing, and I was like, oh man. But I'm excited just because it's like, I mean, I love it, and not only that. After seeing Collegiate Cup 2 and seeing everyone, just in general, like the event itself, just kind of like seeing everyone hype and everyone like rooting for each other. It's like I love to be in that environment, especially with our team supporting each other. Like that already makes me motivated to do it. But I think from what I remember, yeah, it's those people in those weight class. Now, as far as where I'm sitting at, as far as weight. I think from what I remember when we went to game day, it was like 196.
Oh wow!
But then again, like I don't know if it's because I didn't eat much that day too.
Yeah, but you still ate and you were drinking. So.
Mm-hmm. So we'll see how it goes. If
just gain that weight, go to 100.
Go 100. Get another row. All right, let's go. It's just like, man, you're the only one competing. Shut the fuck up.
I made it.
Let's go. But like, I mean, either way, no matter what, like if I have to move up, it's no big deal. Like I'm gonna be happy no matter what. I'm there, having fun, lifting, hoping to get more PRs. Like that's the main thing. Do better, like John said from last comp. That's the main thing I'm like looking forward to. I could care less about numbers or if I get last place or anything. It's like I'm just there to have fun. Just like with you, I'm pretty sure whenever you competed, it was just like,
oh yeah,
getting the experience and then just having fun.
It helps being the worst 120 in the flight. So I was like, there's no way I'm ever gonna do anything. And I injured my back again right the week out.
Oh. Really?
You know,
Yeah,
to
I
be
remember
honest,
that. Yeah,
that prep, like I cannot believe I still took that platform.
Mm-hmm.
Because think about it like this: 9 weeks out, I bust my finger wide open. All right. Then I get a new coach. Okay, and then I get a new coach. I still have to take 10 days off essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Then he peaks me in 7 weeks to prep for this meet. I prepped for only 7 weeks. A week out, I injured my back again.
Mm-hmm.
And I was worried about not being able to lift at all. Not really lift at all, but like lift anywhere close. The funny thing about that injury is actually it was again on a warm-up set, but it was 375, and then I still took 419 after it.
Damn.
What a beast.
With Nico and Dimitri spotting me too. They said it was good. Anyway, so like the fact that I still was able to take the platform. Mm-hmm. And then on the day, I'm like all kinds of GI distress, and I'm like, am I gonna shit myself on this platform?
It's like, oh my god.
I think that's the funny thing about it is like people don't realize like with this wearing the singlet and everything, the moment you have to go to the restroom, it's kind of like, oh fuck. For me, my technique, if I just have to go pee, I'm just like.
You just
yeah. We took a little break. We went on a little road trip. Get some food real quick. But as we were talking about goals, what were your goals as far as lifting and powerlifting, Ani?
for that meet?
Or just in general, like what? Listen, yeah. So, what was your goal at that meet, and then what's your goal now?
Okay, so for that meet, well, after the lower back injury, I kind of was like, if I can match my best in training, that'll be a win for me. And I did. I matched all my PRs in training. The only thing that sucked was I missed my last deadlift, which was 430. That would have been an all-time PR, though. That would have been absolute. Because I think the heaviest deadlift I hit in training, like legit, was 405. There was that, guys know I've been having those that ramping problem with my deadlifts for a while. And we're getting a lot better about it now. But back then we were still kind of tweaking it, so yeah. But I matched all my best training PRs. It was like 419 on squat, 325 on bench. I had 330. I'll never forget. Was it you who was like, "Hey, bro, you gotta hit this ammonia before I go for my"? Was it you who gave me the ammonia?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because you said you wanted ammonia.
I did.
But I was handling Evan.
Yes.
And we were on a different platform.
Yes.
And then no. Evan went first, and then that flight was done.
Yeah.
And then it was you. You're the next flight. But I was needed on the other side of the platform because someone else wanted ammonia. So I'm like running back and forth.
That's
doing
right.
that.
You're like
that.
the ammonia delivery guy.
Pretty much.
So anyway, I bring that up because you hit the ammonia or gave me the ammonia and I shoved my face in it. That 325 moved hell fast, way faster than the 319 did before. So I wish I had taken 330. 330 has been the bane of my existence for a long time. And then on deadlifts, I also hit the ammonia at that 429 attempt. And I still can't believe they called me. I've looked at that footage so many times, and I have no idea why they called me. They said up and down. I think that's bullshit, low-key. But whatever. I still got 407 in comp, so that's fine with me. And then moving forward, so the goal for me in terms of powerlifting, I have numbers that I would like to hit this year. If everything goes right, I'm squatting 500, I'm pulling 550, I'm benching at least 350, maybe 365. But I'm trying to focus on cutting this year. That's the main goal for me. So if I can lose a lot and still make strength gains, then I'll take whatever's there.
You think that's possible? I mean, obviously it's not possible, but how fast are you trying to lose weight? I forgot what that term was. There was a term people use. Was it it's maintaining.
Main gaining? Is
there
that what
you
you're
go.
talking
That's
about?
what I was.
Yeah,
Coach Greg?
Yeah, we were talking about that. It's
So I want to answer. I think you're asking two questions. First, you're asking how fast am I going to cut, and that's a simple one. I'm gonna go I'm trying to cut 1% of my body weight per week. So the cut scales with how I lose.
You're right.
So right now I'm in the low 260s, so it's 2.6, and then it'll be 2.5, 2.4, etc. And then I have a strat. So the plan is once I lose 10%, I take a diet break. This way, I'm not I can spend some time at maintenance because I feel like I've never done that in my entire life, or my lifting career. It's always been I'm either cutting or I'm eating everything in the kitchen sink and I'm not caring about anything. So I would sometimes just maintain, especially if I'm maintaining a lower body weight, at least for a little bit, and then we start another phase of I'm gonna cut, maintain. So that should help the strength gains. Now, I do think I can make strength gains. I think, obviously, the bench is going to take a huge hit. But if I can still bench 315, I mean, I'll be happy with that. That's kind of a number I don't want to go under anymore. But I do think, especially for the deadlift, there's space to make a lot of gains because my leverage is going to get so much better. And maybe for the squat, maybe not. I've heard the extra weight gives you a spring out of the hole. So that's why you'll see these big guys, they're so fast out of the hole because their body weight, it creates this weird compression type. But then I've also said I heard that because you're so big, it's it makes it like hard to like have like a perfect straight line technique.
Yeah.
So
your bar path is not.
Yeah, exact bar path. That's how I was looking for. So my bar path is always going to be off until I lose the weight. So if I lose the weight, the bar path will improve, and that'll result in strength gains. So for the squat, I don't know. I expect my deadlift to go up. I expect my bench to go down. But like I said, if I can still bench 315 and squat in the mid 4s and deadlift 500, I would love to hit 500 this year. Then I guess that's still a win, even though that would be short of what I want for the year.
Yeah.
And the next time I'm going to compete is probably going to be C Cup. So I'm probably going to take an extended off season. So that's next December, right? So, and that'll actually be my last meet as a collegiate lifter. I'll have to retire.
Excited. We'll be competing.
I know. It'll be great. It'll be fun.
Matt, unfortunately.
I mean, I think what I'll do.
You just take a class.
I mean, it just like fails on purpose. Oh man. But I think whenever y'all do compete again, it's gonna be on the weekend. So thankfully, I could just be like, whether I'm working at my big job at that point. I think the job I'm looking at, it already gives you the weekend off. So at least I can try to do my best to come down to San Marcos again, so I can watch y'all compete again.
Well, yeah, it's incentive. Oh, that's right, because you're gonna be back at home, right?
Yeah, man. How are we gonna do this podcast if you're in Houston?
I mean, there's always gonna be a way, but
And there's a will, there's a way, huh?
I mean, there's a way.
It's funny because we're all kind of from Houston. I just realized that.
Yeah, true.
You're from Houston. You're from Houston. I spent like 12 years in Sugar Land, so it's kind of Houston, right? A little bit. Greater Houston area. So we're all from Houston. That's fucking weird. And now we're all.
Sounds like.
And now we're all in the same level.
But that's why it's just like I mean, we can always work it out. Yeah. But I'll do my best to come down for sure to like watch y'all compete again. Especially if it's like I start to build my experience as a coach, and then if I can somehow maybe for newer lifters that decide to join the team, maybe I can help them out, or either just kind of like help handling whatever it may be. I would love to, not only just to gain experience, just because I also want to support y'all. So yeah, that's why even though I'll be in Houston, I mean, it's on the weekend, so it should be no big deal. So
what, like a 3-hour drive? It's kind of like...
It really isn't that bad.
No, it's like chill. It's very calming.
At least it's just like majority of the ride is just on a one-way road, so I don't really have to worry about it.
You go straight 70 miles, you make a right, a left, and then like another right, and then it's like straight like 80, 90 miles, and then depending where you live in Houston, and then that's where you make a left or right on the highway.
Speaking on Collegiate Cup too, despite with our team, out of all the teams that were there, what were your ones where you were kind of like, oh, they might be actually pretty tough to like compete with? Or do you think like the ones that won like first and third, do you think like they'll be there for a little bit? Or any team, other teams?
I feel like this is like with every collegiate event. Midland, obviously, like one of the best schools, the powerlifting.
I was going to say that too. Yeah.
Well, I should say, yeah. I would say just to keep it like note it down a little bit is the ones that we saw at Collegiate Cup as far as like in Texas. Yeah. Did you say Midland?
Yeah, Midland. Yeah,
okay.
Midland from Nebraska. They're a pretty strong team. Some of the people that are from this area that I know of go to Midland. Obviously, you guys know Big Maddie, Zane. I mean, there's a few other people that I know that personally. I was actually surprised OU came.
That was the thing. I was very surprised.
I was too, but not only did they come, they actually had a lot of good lifters.
Yeah.
I was very surprised with them coming. I was like, damn, because majority of the teams that competed were from Texas. I mean, it's out of convenience. So when I saw them, when I saw them coming, I was like, damn, like they got majority of the team. I was like, damn, they drove all the way down here.
Yeah.
I was very surprised because I don't know if it was like, is the Collegiate Cup only is that only specific to your state, or is it? It's like
No, that's
It's
Collegiate
a-
Cup. That's
It's technically a local meet, so anybody could sign up
yeah.
if they wanted to.
that's what I was curious about. If it's only mostly for colleges in Texas, that's why I was like, okay, maybe it's just from what I saw, like each state has their own kind of like collegiate cup kind of deal.
I think so.
I guess it's just really up to them.
Yeah.
Because
I mean,
it's really is. It's kind of like it depends on the area, really, if they're
Yeah.
popular enough. But yeah, I was very surprised with OU coming all the way down to Texas. I was like, what the?
Yeah.
What are y'all doing here?
yeah. Who else? I don't know. I think
Because there was A&M. What's
A&M,
first? Yeah.
A&M now, like, they have very good lifters.
It's just a 83.
A&M now has very good lifters.
Mhm.
UT, I didn't see a lot of UT people as much as I saw but like that were going to
Mhm.
last Collegiate Cup.
We're
Because-
mostly talking about raw lifters, of
Yeah,
course,
raw,
but
yes.
because they're actually their UT, they had equipped and they won. I think they won first in both. So, I mean, we're
UT.
mostly talking about raw. Yeah.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of UT equipped is a big thing.
So is UTSA, yeah. UT and UTSA are both big equip.
Really?
And Midland, of course.
That's
Yeah.
interesting that that's the case. I would think that equipped lifting would have. I guess.
I thought it would-
I don't want to be insulting, but if
Died down, huh?
are falling off a little bit, yeah, I would think so. But I mean, even at game day, I know there are a couple of people who go to game day who are equipped lifters.
At UT.
There are those.
And
few
they go to
people,
UT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, UT
So-
for sure, because I mean, they have their own facility and they get some. Do they get funding? I think they do.
so.
Then again, they have their own facility to work out
I
at.
think
So
they get funding. It's a big school.
Mhm.
They got the money for it.
Well, if they have their own facility, I guess that counts as
Yeah.
having fun.
So I think with UTSA, it's just kind of like, well, then again, Wes, the meet director of Texas, kind of helps them with it. So
Well, shout
makes
out to
sense.
Wes, though. Shout out to Wes.
Mm-hmm.
Runs everything very smooth and well. And
Mhm.
TSS racks always show you love.
Uh-huh.
That
Oh
meet,
yeah,
that meet was fantastic.
Yes.
it was really good.
It was my first meet, so it was kind of like I feel like I got a skewed perspective of what meets are really like.
If anything, yeah, that's like the most nerve-wracking.
I
thing.
know, but it was great. Like the atmosphere was great, the presentation was great,
Mhm.
and I keep thinking about like the rookie meet. I was actually gonna ask you guys. I don't know. Neither of you have competed at C Cup, even in your first year, right?
No, I mean I've competed in USPA meets, but not.
Yeah. So I was gonna ask you guys like how you felt that the atmosphere was different from a local meet, like the rookie meet, to like a one of. I mean, again, technically the C Cup is a local meet, but it's more of a show. It's more of a spectacle. It's more official. It's more. I don't want to say anything about the SB meet. I would assume that because I'm just gonna say it's more well run, just because there was 297 lifters
Yeah.
competing at C Cup. So, having to organize all of that and an audience, it's like, it was probably a really, really tough to do, and they did a great job. So I was wondering, like, what you guys felt. I mean, I know you didn't compete, but at least experiencing the atmosphere, what it was like compared to like a low-key meet, like the SB rookie meet, versus like a big event like C Cup.
I feel like it was kind of similar. I mean, it's run by the same people, Wes and his team. So I mean,
I didn't know that Wes were in the rookie meet.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so in my opinion, it was very similar. Obviously, it's not as big, because it was like what?
There was like 50 people
50,
there,
60.
even less maybe.
Yeah. People competing at the SB meet, so like nowhere close to what it was at C Cup. But I felt like if there was like multiple platforms, I think it would have just gone just as smooth. Like it was. We can't really say a good answer now until we compete this
That's
Sunday,
true.
and then we can kind of say,
Yeah, this Sunday meet is a TSS meet as well.
yeah, and it's actually huge.
Mhm.
Like,
There's a lot more people now, so
yeah, the rosters is
Really?
yeah.
How big is it?
Sunday.
There's a lot of
Sunday,
people.
there's like I want to say maybe 50 people alone.
or
Wow.
even more. But the difference is it's kind of like the atmosphere was that our rookie meet was smaller, so not as many people, not as many spectators either. So yeah, it's gonna be a whole different environment compared to C Cup, where it had almost 300 people, almost that many people, taking into account their own spectators for each individual people. You know, all the parents, all the supporters, friends, family. Like that's a whole. It makes a whole big of a difference when you got a whole crowd cheering you on too.
Especially team members.
Team members, family members, friends. Like it makes it a lot better.
You know what? It's you can describe it as this. The SB meet was like a backyard thing. And then,
it really was, yeah.
And then C Cup was like a stadium thing, you know?
Yeah, okay, I get what you're saying.
Because it's kind of like with the SB rookie meet, it's kind of, that's technically the only way you can sign up for that meet is if you've never done a meet before.
Right.
So
and the
it's
USAPL Federation.
Yeah.
Because I competed in USPA. They gave me the thumbs up to
Okay.
So it really just kind of like, it's only for people who are new to it and have never done a meet before. So maybe not a lot of people were there mostly just because of the fact that it's like it's just a small meet for people who have never done a meet before and want to try it. So not a lot of people are there, not a lot of spectators, compared to an actual like meet like this one, Shrink Classic, where there's a lot of people competing, especially with the fact that like Shrink Classic it's like a yearly thing and a lot of people go to.
Yeah.
So it makes it a lot better and a lot more people will want to go, especially if there's, you know, bigger names too. But yeah, I mean, it's going to make a whole bigger difference, especially when, I mean, I don't know if you guys are going to go, but whenever I go to Nationals just to kind of record, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be the same thing. It's going to be a whole bunch of people, a whole different environment, especially when it's now even more competitive since it's Nationals. It's going to be a lot better, a lot more people being hyped, cheering each other on. So I think it makes a bigger difference, especially if it's like, I mean, I think I would love to see the environment whenever it comes down to like, not only like the pro series, but like Raw Nationals. Like I would love to see what the environment is like when you're actually there, you know? I can only see so much whenever it's from a camera.
Calibrated class from Nevada, or Calibrated cast from Nevada. Let's go, bro. Let's go.
I forgot. Yeah, that is true. It's gonna be in Las Vegas.
It is.
Casting live.
Casting live, man.
Shit, they should put us up there with the two white light guys, bro. We would be good commentators. But yeah, that's gonna be interesting. Like I also wondering what collegiate nat's gonna be like. I kind of really want to go because I'm never gonna be able to make it. Like ever, like I'll never be able to go.
Oh, because you're graduating soon. By the time you're even.
Not only that, I mean,
26,
I'm ineligible. Yeah. Like I didn't get the total now, and by the time I do get the total, I'll be ineligible. So I'll never be able to go as a lifter. So I kind of wanted to go as a spectator. You know, obviously support the team, but you know, just to see what it was like, right? And it'll be definitely interesting to see how this worked.
But what was I gonna say?
We're running out of things to say.
No, I was also thinking it's like just like in general, like the whole environment. Like I would love to see it in person, especially if it's like it's a whole different feeling when it's just there's a lot more people, but it's gonna even be an even more crazier feeling when you actually meet people or like the pros. Like meeting Russ in general, it's just like it's just like
we both met him, right?
I met him like 5-7 times.
And it's still at the end of the day, it's kind of like you're kind of like getting starstruck because when you see them lift, it's like almost as if it's not real.
Yeah.
Because you never in a regular when you go to like Corrupted or Game Day or something, you usually it's normal to see like, you know, 3 red plates, 4 red plates. All right, you know that's normal. But when you see people throwing on like 5, 6, 7, it's like.
Yeah, that's how
it's like that can't be real, but it's amazing to see that.
I was there at game day when Austin Perkins like squatted 660 for the first time. That was incredible.
Yeah.
Like he had so much weight on his back.
It's a whole different feeling when you see it in person. Not only that, watching, especially if you go to like the Raw Nationals, I can only imagine how it feels to be there when you see the best of the best there.
Right.
Yeah. Actually, going on to. What you said about like seeing Russ like on Instagram squatting like 700 to like meeting him was like holy shit, this is the guy, you know. Like when I went to Corrupted, we met up we met up with Corrupted, but we were leaving around the same time. We saw Jamal, and that day he deadlifted like 9 almost 1,000. I was like, holy crap, I just saw this guy warming up, and then he did that on the same day I met him. Like it's surreal. Like it's crazy. So, but another thing I do want to talk about is competing against yourself versus competing against other people. Like how do you get, like, is it a toxic mindset? Instead of being like, oh, like, I hope I do good at this meet, I'm just competing against myself. If I do better, I'm okay. Versus the people who are like, nah, fuck that. This is who I'm going against, and I'm going to do better than that.
I think in my opinion, it really depends on the person, because it's like, sometimes people use that as a way to motivate themselves. Like, with Russ, he does have that competitive mindset where he's like, people talk shit all the time. He's like, yeah, that's what fuels me, and that's what makes him do great things. Compared to some people where it's like, if they think about that way, it'll like bring them down, because it's like, if I lose, I'm like, fuck, man, like I don't know how am I going to do better, especially if this person's doing better than me. In their mindset, they're going to think like, man, bring themselves down. It really just depends on the person, because like, if you have, for some people on their mindset, they just want to be there for their own numbers and feel better about like, oh, they're just worrying about their own numbers, and it goes up, they feel good about it. If that's what motivates them, I think that's whatever works for them. Because there are, like I said, like there are people like Russ who want to use that as a way to fuel them and motivate them. So,
well, I feel like it goes both ways. So when I said that is because I don't compete against myself. I'm that type of person who's like, okay, this is who I'm competing against. I'm gonna strive and do better than them, and then take on that first place. I feel like that's a good drive, because obviously it makes you want to train harder, do better. But I feel like people like Russ, who's number one, they can't do that. Why? Because he's number one.
That is true.
So I feel like he has to compete against himself to maintain that number one spot. While versus you got people below him who are chasing. He's like, no, I got to do better than him. So I feel like it's not so toxic, or it's not bad to compete against other people versus competing with yourself, So
I mean, it is lived in competition.
Yeah. I mean, it's called a meet, aka a competition, because you're competing against other people in the same weight class,
I definitely agree with Matt when we're saying it's I think it's context dependent. I think like you said, if we're at the top level, or like it's between three guys for first place, then those guys are gonna like stop you from getting a podium spot, which if you can do that, I'm sure you'd want it. But like if like for me, for instance, right, I went into C Cup knowing there was no way I was gonna be able to win. I knew that I was the weakest 120 there. I was the only person who didn't hit 200 kilos on anything, right? So I knew that I was going for the experience. I was going, to see, especially with all the stuff that I had to overcome, could I still execute on the platform? But for somebody who's chasing a top spot, I don't think it's bad to be like, not only like I gotta bring these guys down, but like scout them out, look who they are, what their lifts, where you think that you can nab them, where you might have to just give up something and start strategizing about your attempt selection. I don't think that's bad. And like I said, we are in a weightlifting competition, and somebody has to win. So I don't think it's inherently bad that you care about wanting to be that person who wins. I also think about the stakes, like for you, for instance. I don't want to bring it up now because we're so far from it, but fuck it, we'll do it anyway. Going to C Cup and trying to get a CNATS total. That there's a stakes there. That meet is going to be very, very important for you.
Yeah.
Even this meet could technically be very, very important for you, but I feel like you've already kind of decided that it's okay.
Yeah, it's more of like a foundation.
Right.
It's like, okay, this is where I'm at. How far am I off?
Exactly. So let's say that you are off, but then next C Cup you have an opportunity to get that CNATS total. Those stakes are going to be very high for you.
Yeah.
So, but I think it would be like almost impossible to not think about, I got to be this good. Like, it's not about just being better than I was before. I got to be this good.
Yeah.
So, that is also dependent on like again, we're talking about Nats going to Nats and competing against Russ. and being like he's the top. So everybody below him, you know, are like trying to chase or trying to be better than him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel like if you don't think about that, or not trying to think about that, then I think you're lying. One,
Yes.
but two, I think you're not. I mean, this is serious. You're not taking it seriously enough.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, also, you know, people get enjoyment out of just being there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody says, "I'm just here for me," and they're sincere, you know, even if the stakes are high, even if they're at Raw Nationals or any national event, or if they are like vying for a podium spot, like, and they're just not thinking about it, I guess that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I do think those people are lying, though, a little bit, just a little bit.
But continuing on, we were talking about like
I was saying like
the difference between competing and
I was saying like this, the context is the key when it comes to deciding whether or not you're competing against yourself or just for yourself and competing against other people. Like it's context dependent, and it was dependent on the stakes of like what like if you needed to hit a certain number to qualify. Like that's the example that I used for him. So you were gonna say something over there, and then we stopped you. What was that?
I know I was just trying to like stop it just before the battery died, but continuing on as far as like depending on it's like you said, it depends on context as far as like the person themselves, but I think it also depends on like the type of competition, especially like for example, like there's a difference between our rookie meet, which is like 50 people, and it's just kind of like your first ever meet, compared to Raw Nationals, where it's especially like you're competing against the best of the best in the nation. You know, it's a whole different concept, because if you're there to compete, unless you're someone who's like you said, it's just, hey, they qualified and they want to go for that experience, okay. But then again, there's people like people in the 83 weight class, you know, Russ, Angelo, Nori, like those
Bob.
people, yeah, they're all trying to compete.
Bob is 83?
Bob?
SSJ Bob?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Oh, I think he moved up.
No,
he's in a higher weight class now.
Yeah,
But
he's a beefy boy.
He's fucking awesome.
Dude, I love his bench. His bench is god tier.
ever since he moved up a weight class, it's been so helpful for him. But in general, it's like if you're in that top 10 or top 5 people in each weight class, yeah, of course you're always trying to be the best.
Yeah.
Especially now that they're including cash prices, now there's a bigger incentive
bigger drive
of wanting to compete. So it really, I feel like that also plays an account. What kind of meet it is? Is it going to be a pro series where there's money on the line? Is it just a local meet, just for experience, or for fun? It really depends. I think that plays a role too.
True. Very true. Yeah, because I was having a conversation, I forgot who it was, but it was like, because people were like, oh, compete, do it for fun, you know? Well, if you're doing it for fun, what's the point of doing it? You know? In my opinion, that's me. Because I like to have that competition, hence why I'm not cutting down and doing the water cut to 220 and just compete by myself and do what I can. I'm gonna stay where I'm at, probably by meet day 228, if even, and then stay there, compete as 106, 107 kg as a 110, because I just don't want a fucking here first place because you're the only one. There's no fun in that. I mean,
I could see that.
Don't get me wrong. It's gonna look nice, multiple first place medals.
But it's like you're competing, but for no reason.
In my opinion, yes.
Yeah, it's like you're basically not really competing. It's just kind of like you're there for
You showed up and you got
it's like a participation thing.
Yeah,
especially
exactly. I showed up, did my openers, call it a day.
Not competing for no reason.
Exactly.
I don't know if I'd take it that far and say that if you're competing for fun, what's the point?
No.
Because competing is fun.
Yes.
But I will say that, if I knew that my weight class was one guy and that was me, I would be hella disappointed.
Yeah.
I would be like, well, I just put 45 on the bar and hit that for all 3 of my attempts.
Kumbaya.
And then I still won. Here you go.
And then, that makes sense for sure.
Imagine your opener is just the bar.
Add the collar. Like, okay, cool. Now add 1.25 on each side. cool. I went 9 for 9.
There you go.
Yeah,
But,
that's
yeah.
what I'm saying. It's just, I don't know. For C Cup though, it's gonna be very, very juicy though. My goal is not 9 for 9. My goal is to go out, show out, do and get that qualifying total.
Something I want you guys' opinion on is I was gonna bring up a point of like, maybe it's also like because we're collegiate lifters, it's representing our team, it's representing our university. But do you guys feel that way? Do you feel kind of like a sense of university team pride or something like that? Because, with powerlifting, it's an individual sport. It's not like we're all on the platform lifting at once trying to make Texas State or whoever university, we can't, like in the back of our minds, or maybe even like in the officer position, the president is thinking about it. It's like, oh, I want my lifters to win me the trophy. But like, I think for me at least, as a lifter, I was never thinking about, oh, I'm representing Texas State, other than the fact that, I was making sure that I was warming up around you guys. So do you guys ever feel that way about it? About like, hey, I'm a Texas State powerlifter, I'm representing Texas State at this meet? Or is it, because I feel like it's tough with powerlifting, because like I said, it's an individual sport. So like, do you ever, like when you're on the platform, or when you're about to go for a competition, or when we're all, maybe that's not a good example, because when we're all prepping, like it's like a team thing.
Well,
like,
no, I get what you're saying.
But yeah, I was just wondering if you guys ever experienced that.
So back then, when I first joined the team, yes. It was like, oh shit, I'm part of Texas State. Like, we're gonna go with C Cup. We're gonna fuck shit up and take it. Now, no.
What changed?
The people. The people. Like I said, it's. I'm not gonna name drop or whatever, but it's like you start seeing people and how they change and what changed them and how they act. It's like, wow, I've known you for this amount of time. You were acting like so kind, so humble, and then for some reason this happened or that happened, and then all of a sudden you're just like, oh, that's not you, So what I go on the platform is yes, so it's a yes and a no. Obviously, I want to go out there and represent Texas State. Like, who doesn't, When you're a part of the team, yes, you do. But also you gotta realize, I also want to represent Brian.
Oh, very true. Yes.
Brian's my coach. I want to represent him. Like with Maddie. When I was, because I was coached by Maddie for the rookie meet. I was like, oh yeah, it's Team BMG. But now on the platform, it's the people who I surround myself with, because they always have my back. They've always motivated me. They were always there. When I was down, they're always there to be like, hey man, you got this, don't worry, you're thinking too much. Put yourself underneath that bar, squat it, and rack it. It's just, that's, to me, is my team, It's the people who I surround myself with, because no matter if I fail or not, they're always there to pick me back up. So, I guess to a sense, yes and no. So, back then, it was yes. Now it's like, it depends, It depends. It's like a 50-50. But yeah, now it's like team winning,
I like it. I'm team winning too.
Team winning.
What about you, Matt? You're kind of like, I feel like for you it's a little different, or not like a little different, but like maybe it's a little different, because you're our PR guy. You're always like filming us, and you're always making us look good, right? So you're invested in the team in that way. But I just wanted to know, like, how do you felt about the whole thing? About, do you feel like I'm representing Texas State when I take this platform, and there's a lot of pride there, or is it more like, this is for me? I'm the only one up here, and that's the only thing I care about.
The thing is, it's like, I'm not gonna be able to experience, like, maybe other than like this coming meet, since a lot of us are competing. It's just like, it kind of, I will be representing Texas State, but it's going to be a whole different feeling compared to when you're actually competing as a collegiate team at nationals, or more specifically Collegiate Cup, you know, because that actually counts towards something. I didn't even find out till later that we're not going to get really any team awards for this coming meet, apparently. Like, even though it's like, oh, y'all won first place because a lot of y'all from Texas State got first place, it don't count. Only Collegiate Cup. That's what I was told, and I was like, huh?
I mean, it makes sense, like, because it's not necessary. It's a how do you say it? It's a local meet, but Collegiate Cup is also a local meet. But Collegiate Cup's more of like, hey, it's college versus college. You know?
Yeah, that's the whole difference because like compared to this meet, it's more. I feel more individual.
Yeah.
Just because of there's not really like a team thing that we're trying to compete against other teams. You know.
Right.
It's more specifically towards individuals.
Yeah.
That's the whole difference. Is I won't be able to be able to compete with y'all because by the time Collegiate Cup happens again later on this year, I'm not gonna be able to compete. So I won't be able to get to know what the feeling is as far as like representing, actually making it count. You know.
That's true.
So it's hard for me to be like individual or team because it really depends. If it's kind of like Collegiate Cup, yeah, it's gonna feel more like a team. And I think, in my opinion, Ben did try his best to kind of like make it seem where it's more a team thing and trying to like get everyone together to help each other. And I'm not gonna lie, like I feel like a lot of us, whenever our lifters went on, a lot of us always tried to like cheer them on as loud as we can in representing. And it's funny because it's like majority of the time when I saw videos, you just see me in like the curtain like this with the camera the whole time. And then I think it also helped out with my feeling of like being a part of the team, even though I didn't get to represent. But I think, in my opinion, I feel like also the team camaraderie, I feel like we were like one of the loudest because there was a lot of us just like as soon as someone went on, Evan went on, Preston went on, whether it's Brian, Vince, whoever it was like we all tried to cheer on them whenever they competed. So it's hard for me to say because I won't really get that feeling of what it's like whenever I'm actually competing with y'all as a team.
Well, I feel like you represent us through the videos. You know? Because we wanted to make edits and like that for Texas State. It's just we didn't know anybody with edits like that. So I feel like with your edits put us out there. I feel like that's you representing us in a sense.
I would say I guess if that would be a way. I would say like that's my way of representing the team and having that. But going on to like actual powerlifting, like competing, I definitely do understand. Like it is technically an individual thing.
Yeah,
it's like about you.
Who gets the medal? You or the team? I mean, you can give it to the team for them to have, but it's like.
Well, that's for the individual.
Yeah,
So unless it's like you're given a team award, like here you go, y'all all together got first place because y'all got the most points for that team.
Yeah.
But in these other meets, like local meets, like such as like Raw Nationals, it's not gonna be like, oh, Team Joyaflex like won first place. They don't give that to them. It's just. They give first place to first, second, third to whoever won top three.
Yeah.
That's it. It's never, there's Team Joyflex won first place again. There's not really like a leaderboard for it.
That would be cool though.
Or is there?
I don't think so.
I could see that happening though.
But that would be cool,
Seeing like team, that would be cool because it's like if team, if there's like a certain rankings, like if whoever gets first place or whatever team gets first place, they have certain like incentives, like, oh, this team will like maybe get like I don't know, maybe like a discounts or something, like I don't know, something along those lines where
maybe,
it's like
maybe that would motivate Richard, Tim, and Joe to make like a team for game day, and then because you do have people like Angelo representing game day. Because like I don't know if you saw,
I do.
Raw Nats. Angelo had the game day shirt.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, Angelo sick as fuck. He's looking jack in that game day shirt. You know.
Why was he representing game day?
Because he went to game day actually.
He's coached by Joe.
Yeah.
He is? I thought he was coached by Denovi.
He's coached by Joe.
And then he went to game day because Noah met Angelo. And I was like,
Yeah, that's right. I was so pissed.
Me too.
He's one of the guys that I'm not huge into like the idolization, hero worship stuff. But he's somebody I want to meet and I want to.
He's the reason why I tried out Froggy and still stick with it to this day.
Yeah, I listen to Two White Lights all the time, and he's great.
It's just funny because he's like whenever I listen to him or see him when he's lifting, I forget I don't know if y'all know this, like he's a teacher. So it's funny.
Yes, he is.
It's funny because it's like I think when I listened to him, he said like, I forget what age group he teaches, but it's funny if it's like his, just being a kid and then you ask him straight up, he's like, you look strong, or you're like, do you lift weights? I could imagine him just being like, yeah, sometimes.
You know what's funny too? He actually looks like a teacher. Like
he does.
He looks like maybe an art teacher. You know,
Yeah.
with his ponytail. You know, go to class and his button up, some khaki shorts or khaki jeans, walking in.
So I mean, it would be interesting to see if they did implement something as far as like teams and rankings, like if they did.
I would love to see like Flex's clients versus like, I don't know if you know the Swole Fester, Marcellus Williams.
Yeah.
His roster.
I ain't gonna lie. Yeah, Marcus does have a lot of good lifters. Like there's Ashton, there's Ben. I think it was like Brandon Petrie.
Yep.
SSJ Bob.
For a second, I don't know if Bob is still with him. Is he?
He still is.
Okay.
Like SSJ Bob. I think there's more. I don't know.
Michael C.
Michael C.
He was top
him too.
3 at
Technically, you count him too. As long as he's healthy, yeah.
Yeah.
He actually does. He does have a lot.
That's what I'm saying. Like you start getting like gyms and brands start developing team. I mean, like for example, Corrupted Strength with the Misfits. You know?
Yes.
You start building a family, a team to represent you outside of your gym. You know, go to Raw Nats. I think that would be dope.
Yeah, dude's from Barbell Brigade or something.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it, I can imagine if it's like, if each gym built their own team, like there's a game day gym like team that would compete. Corrupted has their own team and competes. Barbell Brigade, all these other Texas Strength Systems, they all have like their own type of like team to like compete at. That would actually be pretty cool. Or just in general, like team competitions. That would actually be pretty cool to see, or how they would work. I mean, like it.
even if it's outside of Raw Nats, just like an annual meet once a year.
Team competition.
What, like sometime during the summer where like most people are off and chilling.
Yeah, it could be at a neutral site too. Something outside of the USAPL, like if everybody went to hybrid, bro. Can you imagine a USAPL meet a hybrid?
or USPA versus USAPL.
Oh my god, like an all-star game?
Yeah.
Honestly, that'd be funny though. It would be like, I think that'd be interesting because it's like, I mean, damn.
I mean, but now
you're going against untested and drug tested.
Well, no, it'll be tested.
Okay.
It'll be tested. Now, this is how do you switch from a deadlift bar to a stiff bar?
That is true.
Vice versa. Like, what would you do? Like,
that's true.
Because the benching regulations are not that.
Yeah, I don't think.
I mean,
benching's not that
your heels off the ground, your head off the bench. Yes and no. Like, it does help sometimes depending on the lifter. But now you're getting to things that are like the deadlift bar versus a stiff bar. It's like, okay, like, how do you meet in the middle?
You create a new bar that is like
mixing
middle place between a deadlift and a stiff bar.
A half stiffy, half
a half stiffy. I like
stiffy. But that would actually be pretty fun. How they would, if they did that, that would be pretty fun to like how they would implement it and everything. But I think that would be pretty cool if they did something where it's like all stars kind of thing going on.
Yeah.
Then again, with the USAPL, with the whole Pro Series, then there's that.
Yeah, I feel like the USAPL would be too uptight for that, but it would be a great idea. That's for sure. There's some money to be made there. I feel like.
Oh, dude.
Well, then now that with the whole like Powerlifting America, that thing going on, where I know Atwood is going there just because
So
he
is-
wants to compete at Worlds, and that's his only way
So
to
is
go.
Amanda Lawrence.
Amanda Lawrence, Keiko's going to.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all trying just because they want to compete at Worlds. So,
Yeah.
but then again, that's them.
The question
because,
is Worlds without the USAPL guys?
I don't know.
And
to me, it's,
that's the real question.
that's the thing though. It's like majority of the time, those who could compete at Worlds, it tends to be the people who were from USAPL that usually win those,
Yes.
because that's where the best usually come from.
Yeah.
Then again, I think it's like also good that USAPL came out with the whole international thing where it's like international people can come and compete, so they can compete with the best of the best. So I think there could be a way where it's like USAPL can come up with their own like world type deal.
Yeah, but then isn't that just like kind of stealing from
That is true.
IPF?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's nothing saying they can't start their own worldwide federation, right?
That's
Yeah,
also
if only
true.
the fucking
Yeah.
IPF just decided, hey, okay, we'll agree, like, to do your, agree to your own terms of drug
Or
testing.
yeah, we could. They
If
could
you did
just
that,
come back together again.
It's like, might as well just do that. I mean, then again, you never know what's gonna happen. I mean, they're only suspended for a year, so a lot of things can happen. Because especially if USAPL is not gonna be a part of it, it's not gonna feel the same, obviously.
Yeah.
Because I feel like with the fact that USAPL is not gonna be a part of it anymore, there's not gonna be as much people watching it, other than those who are formerly, were competing in USBL, like Amanda Lawrence, Taylor Atwood, Keiko. Yeah, we'll still watch it, but not as much as if Russ was there, as if Atwood was of course Atwood's gonna be there.
Yeah.
But Atwood,
Ashton.
other people, Ashton, like all those people, like
Richard.
with Ashton was actually initially going to go, but with the whole thing going on, he was like, I'm just gonna stick to USAPL because all the competitors are here,
That's-
real ones.
Yeah, and that's also another thing is like, okay, yeah, you have people, from USAPL going to IPF because, they want to do worlds.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's like, okay, now how do you feel about competing at IPF knowing that some of the best stayed in USAPL?
And they
Yeah,
just
that's the
don't
thing we were
wanna
talking about earlier.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Now it's like, okay, so for example, it's like, okay, like for example, you stayed, like we're in the same weight class, you stay in USAPL and I go to Worlds, right? But me knowing that you're the better lifter, I'm like, okay, well now I take the better lifter, but it's like, damn, did I really accomplish anything? Or is it just like,
I mean, even if you're the best, like Atwood, right? It's gotta feel a little bit like you're putting an asterisk on this next one because nobody's competing to take a spot.
exactly.
Like, Richard's not there to take his spot. C is not there to take his spot because I don't know. I'm not really familiar with a lot of 74s, but like those guys are not there to push him to take his spot, right? So, like, how is he gonna feel? Like, it's gonna feel like, I don't know. Maybe Atwood doesn't care, right? But at least for me, in the back of my mind, I'd be thinking like, did I earn
this?
Did I
Yeah.
earn this invite? You know
I
what I'm
think-
saying? Like, or
I mean, not
Lawrence-
taking credit away from
Yeah,
him,
of course
because
not. I mean,
Atwood-
he's the best lifter in the
I
world,
think-
literally.
yeah, Atwood's a hell of a lifter, but it's like,
Yeah.
okay,
I'm just saying, like, I feel like for him, like, as a competitor, as somebody who is the best and probably wants to stay there forever until he retires, he's got to be like, I mean, I'm sure that probably factored into his decision. He ended up just saying, I'd rather be at Worlds, but, like, he's got to feel something, like, some type of way about it. You know what I'm
sleeping in
saying?
bed just like, man.
I think with him, I think it's like with Keiko and Taylor. I think with Amanda, no, she did compete last year, but I think with Taylor and Keiko for sure is Keiko was trying so hard, but COVID happened.
Yeah.
I think whenever he was, it was like COVID happened, he couldn't go. Then this past year, he didn't think he was going to be able to go because the whole, suspension. So I was like, well, like he wants to compete. So he's like, I wanted to go there because I missed last year.
Right.
If I could miss this year, this is going to even feel even worse for me. So I'm pretty sure he just wants to get that feeling again. I mean, I'm pretty sure anyone would like to know what it's like to actually go to technically Worlds, even though USAPL is not going to be a part of it anymore. I can understand that from his perspective. He wants to get that feeling again, probably like one more time. But with Atwood, of course, he didn't compete again. He didn't compete at this last one either.
Yeah.
And then I think, of course, with COVID happening too, he couldn't compete at that one.
Yeah.
So I think he just wants to go back for that feeling again. And then once he goes, he's probably going to stick with USAPL afterward. I think that's just mainly that thing. So he can set his, set the record straight and say, like, I'm still the best, no matter where you are. Even if it's at Worlds, technically not all the USAPL lifters are here, but let the other countries know I am the best.
Right. I feel like, yeah, I get what you're saying. I feel like Taylor and Keiko, they're just going to do Worlds, come back, and then compete in Pro Series. Where with the quote unquote real competition, for them at least. So that's what I think. I think they're gonna do Worlds, and then come to the Pro Series after that, and then really compete for the number one spot.
I think, especially with like Russ being gone, I think especially like I know some others that I watched that were part of the Flex team, like Jesus and Isaac Whistler, like those guys, it's kind of like they got to experience that, and now with the whole thing going on, they're like, well, either way, no matter what they did, I don't know if I wasn't paying attention to the scores for both of them, but I don't think it was that close, especially for Jesus. I don't think it was that close.
He's a monster.
So he's kind of like, there's no point, but I can only imagine all the people who are in like the 83s right now, like from the other countries, like you got first, but can you imagine just the feeling like, yeah, but Russ wasn't there. Yeah, but like Jesus wasn't there. Oh yeah, but like Isaac wasn't there. Can you imagine just being like, even with like other countries, I'm pretty sure like other powerlifters know, even those out of the country, like, oh, you won? I was like, was Russ there? Was Jesus there? Was Isaac there? Oh, well, they weren't. You don't really count then. It's like, oh shit. Yeah. So that's why I think it's kind of like, it's nice that USAPL did that whole like international thing. It's like, well, go ahead, compete with them then, So yeah, that's what I think about it. It's like, if I went to Worlds and knowing that they're not there, it's kind of like, am I really winning though? Especially, I mean, if I was like in the top 3 and then they're not there, it's kind of like, did I really win? Or is it like, I'm just here for like a free medal,
All I wanted was this t-shirt.
I mean, don't get me wrong, competing at Worlds, dude, that's a crazy goal, even going to Pro Series or close to Raw Nats, that's a crazy goal, so.
I mean, yeah, you're competing with other countries, that's the thing. So I mean, I won't know unless I ever reach that point with my training, I don't know what it would be like, but from the perspective of those lifters that are able to be there and place that, it's kind of like, well, our top lifters aren't there from the USAPL, and they, especially if they totaled more than you, it's kind of like, are you sure you won that competition? Like, really though? Are you really the best in the world?
Or are you the best out of
all the other countries except USAPL, included? Are
you the best because by default,
So I don't know. That's just how I think about it. What do you think, Tommy?
I feel like I've already said how I felt, but I'll say that.
How would you feel as a lifter who's like, where it's just like Russ isn't there, or like our quote unquote.
I think if it was my first time going to Worlds, I wouldn't give a shit.
Yeah.
Going to Worlds. But if I've been to Worlds, I've either placed top 3 or won before, I'm thinking maybe it's not so important. Maybe I should go to where the competition is the highest, because then nobody can take anything away from me, right? Especially because like we live in an age of people who are constantly trying to take things away from other people for whatever reason. Is the camera about to stop? I feel like you're eyeing me a little bit. Anyway, I feel like we live in an age of people where people are always trying to put asterisks on everything. It's like, oh, but you didn't do this, oh, but you didn't do that. Like, if I had already been to Worlds, I had already won, or I'd already placed top 3.
But I guess now we can talk about what were you saying, Ani, again? As far as like our last thing.
The last topic.
I guess we could talk about like what. Oh yeah, it was talking about our mentality and. As
Yeah,
far
I
as
was
our
gonna
prep
ask
go.
you guys because you guys are obviously competing in 2 days, and Meet Prep is its own little beast. So I was wondering how you guys do anything to mentally prepare for that, and are you guys ready? Are you guys? I'm sure you are, but like,
I'll let you take this one away.
No.
how do you mentally prepare for a meet? Like, when you know that you're going to compete and you know that you're in the cycle, the peak cycle. How do you get mentally ready for that?
For me, it was just kind of like, it depends, because I know for me, with this meet, it's kind of like I said, I'm here just because I just want to compete again. I want to have that feeling again, and I just want to like have fun with it. So for me, it's kind of like straight cruising. Like I'm excited because I also want to beat my my current gym PRs, or just beat my original meet PRs too. So it's just kind of like having a good feeling and also being like just competing again. That's the main thing I want. And
do you got to like get psyched up for it, or are you like meet prep is it's time? Like say you're like 6 weeks out or whatever. You're like it's time to dial it in and I'm ready to go, or do you have to be like, oh shit, it's 6 weeks from now, I really got to start, like how's your mentality like that far out versus like 2 days out, for instance, right now?
For sure, it's kind of like it's starting to be to the point where now it's like things are starting to get to the are going to start to matter now. Whether it's with training and everything going on and nutrition, it does become now like it's time to focus, dial it in, make sure you're doing everything right and following your program to the T as much as you can, so you can do the best you can as soon as it's time for your meet day. Whenever I'm like 6 weeks out, for me mentally, it starts to get to the point where it's like, okay, making sure I'm getting everything right. I'm making sure nutrition's at least close to on point. And especially with my RPEs, because sometimes you at that moment, sometimes you'll get so hyped, and especially when you start getting programmed those singles, you start to get like, yeah, I'm ready to like PR and stuff. But then again, if you're thinking about yourself, like, well, you're gonna have a meet soon, like save your peak on that day, because that's when it's gonna matter the most. So for me, it's just kind of like making sure I am staying motivated. I am also hyping myself up, but also as some people say, it's like staying in the pocket, like focusing on like, hey, I know you want to PR, I know you want to do more, but save it for the meet so that a lot of people are there. Not only that, the environment, it's gonna be there for you so that you can do your best. So it's kind of like it's like I'm hyped, but then also I'm kind of like, okay, just stay calm. Follow the program, whatever my coach is giving me. Stay in the pocket. Don't try to go overboard and try to peak just because you just you have that ego of like, I can do more. I know I can do more. Yeah, you can do more, but like save it for later. But yeah. But what about you, John?
Man, 6 weeks out. No, so around the 6 weeks mark, I'm like, okay, like it's, the last few weeks been, cruising, but now it's time to put in the work. Like it's all or nothing, dial it in, don't fuck around. It's work time, like you gotta go in, it's kill or be killed out there. So that's my mentality. Because 6 weeks, that's what for me was triples now, I believe. Triples out of 7.
That's how I was. So.
It's around like the triples almost, yeah.
So triples out of 7 around, give or take. Because I know soon it's like singles, and that's where it's like, okay, like it's time to put in the work now, you know. So I mean, it's like you said, it's so hard to cage in that beast that's inside of you. It's just like keep it locked up until meet day, I mean, you can ask Maddie. I'm like texting Maddie, like, Maddie, like this shit was fucking easy, like, dude, like let me go up. He's like, no, like chill out, bro, like it'll be there on meet day. I'm like, okay, fine, I'll trust you. And then I mean, it's the same thing with Brian. I'm like, Brian, like, I smoked it, like, it's easy. And you know how Brian is. Brian's like, how do you feel? You know, he'll sit there, how do you feel? Let me see the video again. You know, like that's Brian. That's Brian. He's like, okay, go up 5 pounds. I'm like, 5 pounds, bro. That's like nothing. But like he knows what he's doing, and so it's like, I feel like at the 6 week mark, it's like you gotta trust yourself, but not only yourself, your coach, because your coach knows what he's doing. I would hope so. You know, by the time, you know, especially with Brian doesn't accept anybody. Brian's like, hey, you're interested? Okay, like let's talk one-on-one, you know? That's how Brian is. And so like Brian won't take anybody. He interviews you and he's like, okay, like what's your goal? Yada yada yada. So I dialed it in, but it's like I also have to mentally balance school and then the competition, you know? It's like it's a battle back and forth. Thank God that I have the schedule I do this semester because I have Wednesdays and Fridays off. So that gives me time on Monday to look what I have ahead of time and do my work ahead of time as well. By the time it's Wednesday, I'm already mostly like maybe like 80% done. By Friday, I should be cleared. You know, all my schoolwork is done because I have like 2 in-person classes and the rest are online. But I mean, dude, you've seen me have like a mental breakdown here and there. Like it's mentally draining. It's so exhausting. You know, especially when you stress about things way too much, especially like lifting, it takes a toll on you, like mentally and physically. But no, I'm just that type of person who dials it in, puts in the work, and hopefully by the time, you know, meet day comes, I show up and show out, you know. Do what I came to do. So, what about you, Ani? How did you mentally prepare for C Cup?
I think I mentally prepared for C Cup almost by not mentally preparing for C Cup.
I can see that. It's like, why stress about it, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I just kind of treated it like it was a regular, I'm going, because again, maybe it was just my naivete from not having ever been to a meet, and also not having really I've only done one SBD, I'm going to test all my lifts in one day, in general at all, like a true max out day for all 3 of them one time, and in the gym before that. That was at the end of Russell's powerlifting program. I went off program at SBD did. So yeah, I kind of was very, I guess, nonchalant. I've actually been told that I'm too calm. Like somebody told me, like, you gotta stop this calm. You gotta stop this calm shit. You gotta go in there and we're gonna get hype. We're gonna get wild. And you know, I'm like, I mean, it's great. I'm glad you're happy about being hype. But like, I guess I never took it as a big deal. So, I think the only thing I was just nervous about, you know, when I got hurt. I think that was when the nerves started kicking in, because I was like, you know, I even thought, like, should I pull out? Like, I mean, we're a week out, and I'm thinking, you know, oh my God, I just tweaked my back, I gotta pull out. But I'm glad I didn't, because it wasn't that detrimental. And that was kind of it. Like, I kind of just was like, okay, I'm doing triples, and now I'm doing singles. This is how peak cycle works. So, yeah, very nonchalant, very easy going.
I was kind of like that at my SB meet. Like, building up, I was like, oh my God, I'm nervous, you know? But by the time I'm like, the second week out, I was like, it's just another day, you know? Especially the first week, I was like, just another week, you know? Next week's my meet. It is what it is, you know? I'm gonna go in there and then do my stuff and then hopefully get out with a medal and you know, go on about my day. But yeah, no, my first meet I was like that. This meet, I'm not nervous. I'm hyped, you know?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, like this is where, you know, should start to get serious.
I've lifted with you for a couple of these singles now, and I feel like there are lifts that you really want, and that's why you're so like, you're really like, oh, I'm going in there, I'm gonna tear some shit up, because I feel like their stakes are just a little bit higher for you, and maybe Maybe that's the same thing for me because my steaks were nothing. I knew it was going to be crap. So
You know what's starting to think about that? Yeah, I think if you don't have, if you didn't put anything on the table, like it's like,
yeah.
what about it? You know, but like when
What
you have
about it?
but when you have a goal, like my goal here was to get close to qualifying total.
Mm-hmm.
That's not gonna happen. But
even like lifts for you, like I know how much 365 on bench means for you.
Yeah. Now that like my main goal was like, okay, let me get close to the qualifying total as possible. But now that I'm not gonna make weight, and then there's no competition, there's no point in water cutting, yada yada yada.
Mm-hmm.
Let me compete in the 110s as like a 105. For some reason, I feel more competitive. Like I just like, you know what? Yeah, like let's go in there. Let me compete against those two UTSA people and let's fuck shit up and show them what Texas State is about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just I guess if you don't. Yeah, it's like you said, like, there's more at stake here at this meet than there was at my rookie meet. So, because my rookie meet was like me and some other person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like it was us two. We were chill. He was actually a cool dude. I still talk to him to this day every once in a while.
No, that's nice.
Yeah. So, interesting.
Well, guys, I feel like we've talked about a lot of things for a long time. Probably about. I really wanted it to be like this long. I didn't think we'd get here on episode 2.
It's funny because it's like I didn't realize like it would go on this long, but it actually went on for longer than I thought. Way longer than I thought.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a good place to wrap it up.
I mean, it looks like we do, especially when we do decide to do another episode. Is this if either it's after the meet or even a little bit before? I mean, at the end of the day, it's like we're gonna have a lot of stuff to talk about.
I don't know how we could squeeze one in. Like we'd have to do it tomorrow. I feel like there's.
So how you feeling?
How you feeling?
I think after the meet is a good place. Cause then,
after the meet, it's like hey, welcome back. We're all like all beat up. I think after the meet,
All dead.
Yeah.
So this has been episode 2 of the Calibrated cast. I just want to clear something up really quick before we go. We were discussing it previously. And we would like John to be a permanent member of the Calibrated cast. So from this moment moving forward, it's going to be myself, Matt, and John. We are the members of the Calibrated cast. Just wanted to make sure that was not something that was left to interpretation. So with that being said, I'm Ani. You can follow me on Instagram at SXBERTOOTH_ or Sabretooth with an X _. Matt here, the villain.
No, that's not me. You can follow me on the Liam. It's VILLEAMM. I also do a lot of the camera work as far as for the Texas State Powerlifting team. So if you want to follow that page, it's TXST_ powerlifting. So you can watch all the editing videos that I make for the team. Especially for this coming up, this meet coming up, I'll try to do my best to record everyone, even though I am competing, but that will be coming up soon. Of course, if you want to follow John,
Latosis __ prime on Instagram. I post my lifting. Well, that's mainly supposed to be my main and my lifting, but it's mostly been lifting, so you'll just see a bunch of random stuff there.
All right, and you can subscribe to this channel. This channel is your channel, or is
it's gonna be on my channel for now, unless I decide to change it into the cast itself.
Yeah, we're in that discussion process of should we have the cast be its own social media thing. So we'll probably have a definitive answer by episode 3, whether or not we decide to make a page, a YouTube, an Instagram, or whatever the hell. So yeah, keep an eye out for that as well. And unless you guys have anything else to say, I think we'll see you next time.
Catch you on the flip.
It's been chilling.